2.73. I think he stopped and waiting for us.
That right off the bat, you silly little stream deck, you. Hello, everyone. This is Farrell, and we are here for another badly needed relaxing survival here in Space Engineers. It has been a long and interesting, well, session in SE, shall we say. Let's get that music kicked off there. Of course, you guys probably can't hear it because the volume controls are all over the place right now. I apologize for that. Everything is kind of all over the place on audio right now. Yes, I just want to say hi. I'll catch you tomorrow night. Okay, I will, well, hello, future you. Thank you for watching. Hey, Glenn. That's okay. It happens. So, when we last left off over here, last time, we were working on our little, garage here for the... I'm still gonna call it blue, just because, I mean, that's incredibly apt. That's the color for it. There was a comment in response to last week's vid that did mention that I probably don't need to have all this complex sorter set up over here. That if I just have the sorters on, you know, like down here, that they would just pull through the stone perfectly fine, or, you know, wherever I'd want to have stone pulled. I'm not 100% certain about that, because it really depends on how well SE has optimized the cargo system, which, well, if you know what I've been through with various cargo systems around, like Stonebreaker and Trade Surplus, they don't always optimize quite the way you think they will, and I'm a little worried that the refineries being the point of interface here would be the first to grab gravel, and then, you know, a sorter like all the way over there is going to be the last priority. Either way, that little bit is going to come down anyways, guys, because I'm going to be primarily driving all the docking really through here. I mean, I'm going to have the miner strapped to the back of this thing. It's going to be chucking into here. This is going to then be chucking into the base flooring. The other thing is also, I'm on single player, and I'm really not all that worried about performance. I mean, I'm running a solid 1.0, 1.02 server simulation CPU load, 12%. I mean, and this is with me streaming on this rig, so I'm not coming close to really kind of pushing in the game to any sort of serious degradation. Now, if I put like 20 of these sorters down, I might if I start having a little more active activity going on, but that's not the case. Either way, we need to get the rest of this up, because I'm realizing I've got a little bit of a problem here. The way I've built this, I mean, this does work. It works as a little bit of a dock for this guy. But I'm going to show you what happens if, well, right off the bat, this is a problem. Why do they have to put the key mappings the same? Why, Keen? Why? Doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna try to, I'm being 100% serious about this, guys. I want to try to actually avoid being salty tonight, because I have been more than enough salty the last few weeks, and frankly, even I'm starting to get a little tired of it, and I suspect some others are as well. My concern with what I've done here is clearance on getting this into the bay with the mining ship dock. Now, if it means I have to take this thing off every time I approach to link up, so be it. I can live with that. I mean, chances are this will probably have offloaded into the mining platform base, I guess you could call it anyways. But I would really like to just kind of double check my fitting here. Hey, driver, how's it going? Little, I don't know what the heck to call this thing still. If it was closer to December, I'd paint it green and make it a Christmas tree. Kind of thinking if I... Yeah, we're not anywhere close there. I should get close enough. Right. It's not that far off. Oh yeah, perfect. Almost. She's got a lot of up thrust, but not a lot of downwards thrust to counter it. There we go. Alright. Latch that on. Okay, that's actually more clearance than I thought. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. So that's good news. Let's turn off the Atmos to save some thrust there. I mean, granted, it's going to make everything... Well, if I unload... For unloading into here, the weight should be back on more of the distribution between the two legs here. I may have to build a bit of a forward portion of the cargo system here to better distribute the weight. I mean, just to see if the game is going to cooperate when I ask for this. Center of mass. Okay, there we go. Where I'm actually getting a center of mass dot this time. So you can see it's a little kind of here, but not quite on the center of the vehicle, like right down here. I mean, granted, it's also tipped. Let me do it from this direction so I can kind of look about straight up. I mean, I'm kind of standing about under the dot here, looking up at that point. You can see I'm not quite 100% at the center of the vehicle. And then that's not considering what you got sitting back here, which, haha, perfect. Look at center of gravity, right on the center. Not gonna... Realistically, in real-world physics, that would be all of the weight sitting along the alignment with the center of gravity there, which is going to make it a little more stable, I think. Maybe not necessarily a lot more stable. This, though, there's extra weight. You can see kind of it's dragged this center point off towards the back of the design, which means, well, for instance, if you're doing grav drive designs, you want that center of gravity to be right in the middle of the heart of your grav drive. So if I had built a grav drive around where that cargo container is, it wouldn't be 100% perfect. It would be tending to have a bit of a weird pull. And here you can see it's not even centered on the center of the cargo container, which I'm actually glad for. What I would like to see is something centered a little more towards the ground. And if I can, do I have... Aha, I do have it. I'm just going to paste this in for demonstration here, which means I need to do that. We are going to spend a little bit of time doing some mildly cheaty stuff because I feel like I'm having a little fun with something real quick. This is something I designed for Mr. Space's little runabout track, shall we call it, or really the road rally track. Small, compact, center of gravity is nice and low as I can kind of really get it without making everything completely vulnerable. It's still vulnerable to grounding out, but considering that the environment that these things are being run on, typically not a problem. And as soon as we take her off park, this is with downward thrust from... I included downward thrust on this thing just to try to make it so I could corner a little better. But it actually doesn't do too bad all on its own there. It's actually handling it pretty nicely. Here's the hole for the mine. And then just to have some fun with it, it's not going to work in right now because I don't have... I'm not truly creative, so I don't have any ice in the container to fire it off, but this is not a little bad. I may actually have to build a genuine in-game version of this at some point because it doesn't do... It's the only design I've taken for gyro steering on the ice that doesn't like immediately try to flip over when you do something with it. Now, that's not to say that this is going to be perfect because you can very easily graunch everything on this. Also, incredibly easy to flip, but she also seems to come back pretty nicely from it. And really what you do, trick I found, is what I found out doing. Unfortunately, I thought I was recording the footage from racing on Wasted Track, but I wasn't. At a twin down thrust, when you start learning how to drive three-fingered, you can actually do some pretty fun stuff with this thing. Well, actually, I should say three-fingered steering along with a gyro. Pretty capable little guy, I think. I'm not even engaging downwards thrust, so I can do that to try to balance out that tendency to want to jump at each hill, or let it go. This one's probably gonna pop it. Ooh, tweaked it a little bit on the landing there. But hey, for something that's going to be racing in a world where block destruction is off, that's not too bad. Anyways, that is enough of that. If I want to play around with that, I need to earn that right and actually get a garage done so I have somewhere to put said things. Because otherwise, what's the point of having a garage and a fun little, or not having a garage, but having a fun little car that will just get, well, not that there's any birds in the game, but I mean, if there were birds, you can imagine that there would be a lot of seagull droppings around potentially this area if it's considered an inland sea. Doubt it really is, but let's also get rid of that. We don't need to, we don't care about the sim speed performance in relaxed survival. We're chill. Everything's good. What is happening on this? Yep, I did it. I don't even want to look back there. Yeah, I don't even want to look back there because I know I'm going to see a nice big divot in my pristine lake bed. I'm going to see a miner that's been half destroyed. Because Bob is being exceptionally noisy right now. I have to look. It is a stream. Yep, there's absolutely nothing going on there. Nothing at all. Well, I still see a center gravity marker at least, so that's something. Keen? How? You know, that... Okay, no, this was sitting on top of that point, so that makes absolute sense that that happened. The large reactor was down here, and I don't have an azimuth reactor, which would have helped make this a bit more compact, but also requires more parts. Base held up pretty good, all things considered. It's just the rest of it popped off and was absolutely no good. We'll fix that later. In the interim, I don't think we need to hang on to this piece of it. There's not much point to that. In fact, I would even go to the point of saying, let's ditch everything. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If I just start grinding things, things are going to start falling off as it stands. I want to make the, do a little bit of a makeover on this. Try to see if I can make it a little more efficient as I repair it. Because obviously, like I said, I'd love to get an azimuth reactor on this thing. I would certainly like to give it a little more cargo flexibility. I mean, there's definitely some room for improvement. And steerability, too. That would certainly be a lot better if I can find a way to make it a little less susceptible to tip and give it a bit more actual up force, really. Or not up force, down force. So that way, when I do a little bit of a pop, it can catch itself quicker instead of letting gravity kind of drift it out. Because, like I said, this is also potentially a pretty good platform for doing, basing an orbital takeoff on this thing. Could even build that in. Anyways, right, garage. Let's focus on the garage, because the garage is less likely to blow up on me because I hit the parking brake. It's just been one of those weeks, and I'm sure you guys probably would have picked up on that in the uncooperative survival on Saturday, and I owe you guys and Mr. Space a word of apology for that, because towards the end there was definitely very much things getting much more saltier than they should have. Unfortunately, the scenario that wound up happening with everything, and I'm not trying to use this as justification, because there is no justification for the way I was acting there. I'm still in... Fine, I'll give myself 2 freebie armor blocks. The justification... there is no justification for it, period. That was something I should have been putting a clamp down on, and you can hear it in our voices. I think both Tex and I were kind of getting a little bit frustrated towards the end there. Unfortunately, what happened was more or less things winding up with a little bit of an unfortunate reprise of what has been driving me somewhat insane in Space Engineers in PvPvP, where I'm very much in the same sort of situation where I have a ship that needs to be finished, and the unfortunate fact of the matter is there are other priorities that I have to, as team leader, openly admit that I've got to enforce. So me saying, hey, we need to do this, oh, and by the way, I'm not going to be partaking in any of that, doesn't quite work out. So with it being very eerily similar to certain problems I'm having there, it just kind of struck a little too close to home, and definitely was not helping my attitude any. Especially when you get to this point where, okay, I get and fully approve the idea of having a restrictions when we wind up on these planets. Just like the thug boat, for instance, could fire out to 2 kilometers. There is only one time I was ever given full permission to unload at that 2 kilometers, and that's when we hit the boss encounter. And that was because there wasn't really much point to it until the shields weren't down. So being thrust back into this position of, oh crap, now I've got to kind of sit here and what am I doing? I can't really... Unfortunately, at that point, there wasn't anything I could really do to build, because the supplies just aren't there. And then that led to the whole, well, okay, I've got this one little ship that was meant to be a booster to get the fighter back off the ground. It was never meant to go into or be used for anything I've used it for at this point. Which makes still, it's, for all things and purposes, it's still a good little ship. It's also got no shields. Which, when you're playing at this level, you kind of need shields. And the problems are, it's not really suitable for like doing a more permanent lash up with the remains of the Cossack. The Cossack itself was, I gave up all the hover engines on that to help Tex out, and unfortunately now that's not moving at all, pretty much. And, just saying, okay, well, what can I do to help? Okay, well, we've discussed doing a trailer. Let me do a trailer. Well, in order to make a trailer, you have to have hover engines. And they've got to be pretty beefy hover engines, because, you're carting around potentially a lot of stuff. So there's definitely quite a bit of salt that was happening from that. I'm gonna guess I'm probably out of... Yeah, grab that right out of there. I'm out of iron plates. Can you believe that? I've run out of iron plates. What am I missing right now? Oh, right. A mining ship to go get more iron. No, I'm pretty sure I'm still good. I can't be completely out. I mean, that would just be... I am completely out, aren't I? No, I've got... Okay, so basically what's happening here is another thing I've got to do. Bob Autoassembler is trying, but every now and then when you use this script, sometimes you really do just kind of have to give it a punch in the gut. And just say, yeah, sure, I'm using up lots of these parts, let's focus on rebuilding the supply here. We also kind of talked about that on the PvP last match, what you do in SC once you reach a certain level of strength. Well, I mean, that's really the key difficulty. I mean, even, to be honest, I'm seeing that to some extent here. I've got, for a single-player series, a pretty decent setup so far. I've got Bob taking care of me. I've got a pretty sizable base already that even if I was out of armor plates over here, I could just start stripping this part of the base. And just reuse the parts on that. And realistically, even if I had to go out and do some mining, really, game? Fine, 3 block height is enough to how much damage? 2 points of health. Okay, sure, whatever. Realistically speaking, I can take this thing out, go mining for more iron over there at the mine that I know I've got out there, and I'm perfectly fine. Bob will help me with the mining piece of it, pick it up, we're done, we're good. There's really not much actually keeping me from not just building a rocket right now. So what's the point of sticking around on a planet? Well, you've got fun little vehicles like this, you've got base buildings here, you don't have to worry about carting around 20 million oxygen bottles with you. But then, you know, again, I go up to space, and, okay, well, I get some platinum while I'm up there, and I can build some cute little spaceships and a space station somewhere, and then that's basically it. And I guess what I can really kind of talk about here is this kind of does mesh well with the discussion. I don't know if you guys have been following the thread that was on the Space Engineers forum earlier this week. But there was... Oh yeah, I'm definitely not worrying about iron anytime soon. Look at that that arc furnace go. Got plenty of it. Here, you can get rid of that real quick for me. I mean, 20,000 plus what's in the large cargo container alone? Good grief. We are set. I mean, granted, I still need... Well, cobalt we're good on. I know I'm jumping all around here on topic, too. I need to get some silver, probably. If only just to get some more bottles. See, look at that's doing pretty good now. Actually, that's why, because it's finished over there. Now I've got a surplus. I like the idea of having the just-in-time assembling that's used when you're able to link Bob in like this, but, you know, it does have its disadvantages when you have to wait around for stuff. But again, I'd normally have to wait around for stuff and then not be able to weld anything for a little while. But now I can continue on doing things like talking about the original topic of conversation. Thread on the Space Engineers Reddit. For those not aware, there was a post by Rexar earlier this week. Rexar being someone who previously worked for Keen and one of the active developers in the community. Right, well, I should say developers, mod developers in the community, along with other folks. And posted some concerns about Keen. Some of them were, I feel, very much on the head. Unfortunately, the tone he took with them, well, it takes what I do for a typical, you know, like update parody episode, and really kind of injected some snark into it, unfortunately. And as much as I will poke fun at, you know, the devs and at the folks who work at Keen, the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, these are still people. They still have feelings. They still have decisions that they're making based on things that we don't know about, or, you know, any sort of other criteria that may not necessarily be that we're aware of. And, you know, I'm not trying to go crazy in a Red Feral fanboy moment here and say, oh no, bless them, they do no wrong. But he did get a little uppity with his tone, and unfortunately, that's kind of the one line I try not to cross with, and I hope I haven't felt like I've crossed it with the update parodies, because, like I said, these are people, and in all honesty, the fact that I'm still playing this game doesn't mean that it's, it's kind of that weird spot where, basically, when I was reading this thread, I was seeing things that Rexar was saying. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes absolute sense. And then I'd see something else he'd write, and it's like, oh, tell me you did not just say that, because that was just, like, ridiculously insulting. And, unfortunately, for all parties involved, one of, I believe it was the actual PR guy at Keen got involved. And his response was not what I would expect from someone who works in PR as a profession. It was kind of scary. The way that this response was handled, and some of that I suspect is because of the fact that this is a former employee, so you're used to dealing with this person on a more regular basis, so you may be a little more open to dealing with them. What they came across as, though, was something not very professional, and unfortunately, then to complicate matters, Marek got involved. And that response that came out was... And again, I have to honestly admit, there are times where there are things that do get said by the development team, by Keen Software House, that I will absolutely fully agree with what they're saying. But then there's other times it's just like, you didn't just say that, did you guys? And unfortunately, that was another one of those, did you really just say that moments. The whole thing basically turned into a bit of another PR fiasco for Keen, unfortunately, in my opinion. And it just kind of has been leaving me in the lurch, trying to decide whether to do an update parody on that. And one of the things, here's the long drawn-out explanation of why I'm talking about this. One of the things that got brought up is, folks, we have all been saying, oh, we want this, we want that, we want this in the game. And, Keen's doing their best to try to give that to us. And part of that problem is, honestly, well, what do you call this kind of game? When you take a look at what I'm doing, I mean, I am in the game, certainly interacting it within a subset of PvE. I've got hydrogen on me, I've got O2 on me if I'm not careful, and leave my helmet closed. I can suffocate myself to death. I could kill myself by ramming into things repeatedly or jumping off of tall cliffs. I could up the challenge and the difficulty level by turning on dogs and spiders, and leaving aside the fact that those are rather oddly implemented and kind of wonky and somewhat broken in their own way. The fact is, I can choose the engagement difficulty of the PvE universe. I could turn on meteors, I could turn on NPCs, and if I wasn't happy with that, I could go to mods like Lucas's Corruption mod, the planetary, dang it, I can't think of it now. I want to say Galactic Explorations, but I know it's wrong. Planetary Exploration. All sorts of different mods that are coming out from under the woodwork now for handling the extension of PvE combat. Which is great, because, I mean, let's be honest, SE runs pretty darn, well, for me at least, it runs pretty darn good in single player. The other thing about the other aspect of the game is you can go PvP. So you can go what we're doing on the PvPvP series. You can say, okay, we want to get X number of people together. We're going to have big, massive starship battles. And yes, we are going to have big, massive starship battles. There are reasons why things are the way they are on both teams. And the fact of the matter is you can make that happen in the game. But it's a completely different playstyle, and as such, a completely different means of what you need the game to support. So, for instance, with PvP, you want render distance up to a good distance, so you can actually see the enemies as they come for you, and not when, oh, they're right on top of you, and 3 seconds after they show up, they're right in your face. You've got no chance to do anything about it. Whereas PvP, or PvE, I don't really care if I can see out 30 kilometers or to the other side of the planet that there's a strong signal landing there. Not so much of a concern for me. So the support that you need in the game is going to be slightly different. And then you can turn around and then also turn this into the discussion of, okay, and then there's a third way of playing it, which is purely the sandbox. So you can say, okay, I don't want to do any PvE. I don't have to want to worry about supplies and parts and cargo systems and all that. I just want to make a pretty looking thing. A ship, a base, anything. And that's creative mode. Okay, well, what do you need for creative mode? You need XYZ, you need more, the list of things that you need for everything is going to vary differently. PvE, I don't really care about grid ownership. PvP, oh, hell yeah, you better care. You better bet I care about grid ownership. Creative, whatever. As long as the blueprint's right and shows up on the workshop, right? And I think that is honestly what has contributed to problems with the game, is because the expectations that we have assigned it as players are to the playstyle that we have. There's not a lot of people, I would imagine, who wind up going from one mode to the other, to the other, to the other. I mean, I'm one of the few that I know of where it's like, okay, well, I'm here in a PvE survival, a very easy PvE survival, mind you. You get folks who are in a, then, okay, by the end of this week, I'm going to be back in PvP. And then from there, then I've got to go to a much harder PvE setup. Yeah, it's kind of wonky how all this kind of works out. Looking at here is, I want to do some scaffolding across the top just to give the blocks up here a little something to contrast with. I don't really need I could do a 3x3 slope, actually. Perhaps I need it to line up a bit better. It's going to be a bit tricky to figure out how to set this up. Because really, what I need is this. Nope, that's definitely not right. So yeah, there's so many different ways to play the game, and what you get is, as a result, complete chaos when you start to try to talk about things like feature set and whatnot. I don't know how well this is actually going to look. It's also being a pain to place, and I don't think the spacing might just work out. See what happens when I get down to this last block here. That's not going to work out right, because it's going to be one too short. I was just kind of thinking of varying up the shapes a little and put a little something that you could see through the windows, so it's not just a straight up unsupported window. I didn't want to break the window grids up really on this one like I did there, so it would have been a bit too repetitive. And then what I'm thinking is I can continue this into the side of the cliff here. So like so. Trick is I need to suspend this from the other construct while we paint this other piece pink so I can get a block in there. We'll see how that works. This little bit might come out. I'm not 100% sold on it. So, and yeah, Driver, I completely agree with you. The best thing sometimes is just not to say anything. Well, more accurately, honestly,
is critical.
Keen. Sometimes the best thing, like you said, best thing you can do is not say anything. Or, honestly, what Rexar actually, his little reply he tucked in at one point, said something about if you get a response anything other than XYZ, I'll eat my hat. And the response that he gave was legitimately the best way that Keen could have handled it. Unfortunately, that was not the response that Keen chose, or the PR person chose. So on one hand, I also can't help but think that Rexar may have been bait trolling the PR rep a little bit. So there is that to consider, because Rexar does have a bit of reputation on his own, and openly admits it. So, it's one of those things where everyone's kind of, okay, everyone, can we just, stop acting like absolute idiots and just focus on the game for the time being and not worry about this stuff? But at the same time, both sides made some pretty, straightforward, honest-to-goodness points that need to be, need to be thought of. And one of those is that as far as games go, next to something like, if I were talking about games that have a vibrant modding community like this, and where you've got active ongoing development in the game, obviously the first thing and last thing it probably is going to come to mind for most people is Minecraft. And I can certainly say right now that game certainly has its own issues. Namely the fact that they need to finally decide to what they're doing with the Java versions, but that's a whole nother discussion. They're quote-unquote shit or get off the pot, basically. Mojang, figure it out. And really past that, if you don't want to talk about necessarily a game that's still under development, SimCity 4, which I might add is still being sold by Steam, and still has sites active in the modding community for modding the game. I mean, we're talking about a game that is 2003, 2004, maybe in 2001. I'd have to look up when the original date on that was. And the amount of modding you can do in that game is still pretty good for a system that's largely closed. I mean, you can't do much more in that game at this point because, well, it's not really open source. The game's code's been long since abandoned. But, it's still there, so why not? And try to see if this is going to look like. Because then I can do... actually attach this in this manner. How am I out of... I picked up 100, 200, 300 blocks of that stuff. Silly little game. Give me the stuff. Come here. Steel plate. Steel plate. Boy, I really am. You're kidding me. No. What's going on here? You're on manual, so I know you can't be interrupted by the Bob Autocrafters. That's why it's set on manual. How much is going into these scaffolding blocks? It's 32, that's not a heck of a lot. Crazy. Alright. So yeah, that whole discussion happened, and if you're wondering why there hasn't been a reaction video on my part, I was even seriously tempted to write in on the thread, but honestly at this point it doesn't really do anyone much good to keep that thread. What are you doing? You were connected at the front, now you're not connected. No, you weren't connected at the front. I didn't finish putting in the plate work at the front. Okay. third time's a charm. I can build this a little more closer to vision now that I know how big I need to make it. Maybe position this a little differently. So we need... You'll be leaving this stuff alone, Bob. Or weld it up, but that's it. I don't want to see you messing around with my stuff. How do I want to... Trying to think how to construct this overhang, because I want to actually put a spotlight in here. Let's get that placed at the very least. Give you the green, the gray color here. Slats on that angle, so that way they'll help line up with that. Oh yeah, that was another comment in the video from last week. Paint a guideline on the floor of the hangar, which is indeed a very good idea. Not one I would normally think about, because honestly, I'm kind of... I have some lights I might pull in from my creative world that do a pretty good job of acting like hangar floor lights, basically. But at the very least, that's going to give me an opportunity to get the gist of it lined up. And then what I want to also do is... We'll actually go with a yellow on this side. And give myself some wheel placement guides here as well. But yeah, I debated about responding to it, debated about doing a video on it, and no, frankly, that's just one of those let sleeping dogs lie kind of thing. Both sides made some, in my opinion, pretty monumental gaffes in the responses. So sitting there and pointing that out would be kind of silly, at least on the thread. As far as me personally, yeah, I mean, like I said, this game, unfortunately, has so many different ways that you can play it that inevitably someone's going to complain about something. I mean, I certainly have more than enough justification to complain about the game's netcode still. Considering that Saturday was the first time I've ever connected to uncooperative in a long time, and not had to deal with the game refusing to connect on multiple occasions repeatedly. I don't really need the spotlight there, do I? I mean, it's kind of redundant. Because I've got the inside spotlight here. Maybe this won't work. I need to rethink what I'm doing over here. Yeah, let's grind that down. Sometimes when you get into an experiment like this, you just gotta white out the canvas and start again. It'd be nice if Bob would actually be able to... You know what the scary thing is? Okay, no, 8. Okay. You're actually hanging in midair despite... I detach a large scaffolding block and it falls. I have another one ground out and hanging in midair. Okay. Some special things going on there. But yeah, just keep that in mind if you're ever kind of, you know, ready to jump on the bandwagon of crucifying Keen. It's very much, there is a reason why there is a red feral and why even a yellow feral, because there are different views of how you play the game, how it works, and what people want out of it. So yes, I can, in my the experiences I've had over the last year, I've kind of been around to see all the different facets of that, and it has been interesting at times. Let's see, if I'm gonna do this. Here's something I can borrow from the other world. Actually, maybe 2 things. I think I've got some more options for pillars in this. Or at least I hope I do. Or pillar-like material. I don't think that straight-up girder is going to work. Truth is, I've got so many mods. I've got 55 mods on at the moment. I can't remember everything of what I've got installed at this point. What do we got? See, we've got a side pillar, but I'd love to actually see a version of the... this is from Sectan's LCD mod, or one of his mods. I wish he had a copy of that pillar without the sign on it. Because it would be nice to actually use that. I guess I could try switching in some of the UOH armor here. It's going to look a little odd. But it would kind of thematically tie it back to the other area. Just to kind of give it something. Actually, yeah, it kind of works. I mean, it's something bigger and chunkier holding up the overall lighter scaffolding work here. I mean, it's got that nice little bit of a spot here at the bottom, like it's clamping onto something or is built into it. Yeah, I think I can live with that. Hey, Kimball. How's it going? Aside from that. Yellow Feral was the female skin suit when Keen debuted that. Because, let's be honest, I gave Keen a fair bit of salt for not having a female suit in the game, so yeah, I felt it was a little more than justified to give them full props for finally bringing in a female suit. So that would be where Red Feral is the unabashed Keen fanboy. Blue Feral is the what the heck are you people doing? And Yellow, I suspect, is kind of the, hey, let's acknowledge that they did something right finally. Yeah, you know, as much as I give salt about the multiplayer update, technically that would be a yellow suit thing. The reason you're not going to see her around all that often, though, is because I have to use an AI voice for that, or a text-to-speech voice, and the one I'm using is text-to-speech voices. For those who have never actually looked up being able to do anything like that in a YouTube series, it's a very borderline copyright violation for most of them. You have to be absolutely certain that any voice that you choose to use has Creative Commons rights or some sort of fair use policy. And not many of them do. Especially because sometimes even the ones that you find for free on various engines out there, they're not really... they're free to use the site that's providing it, but the underlying text engine itself and the sound files being used are not always going to 100% be you know, a proper free use type thing. So it's kind of a weird, wonky area and probably not very well policed, because I can't imagine that YouTube really has a way to be able to actually say, okay, yeah, we can tell that you're using this text-to-speech engine, this voice on it, so you can't do that. Naughty, naughty on you. We're taking your, you know, copyright strike on your vehicle. On your vehicle? On your video. Yes, it's kind of really weird, so that's why she's never actually shown up. And in fact, there's for a little bit of a behind-the-scenes clip back when I had the super salty rage at Keen moment, back when I was trying to do a bit of a scripted fight between Red and Blue Feral. That was actually when I recorded that video clip, or that audio clip. So honestly, I can't even remember what system I was using to generate her voice at this point. That was the video that just went so horribly wrong that there's just absolutely no way I was going to be able to get a video done in time, let alone the way I'd wanted it to. So that quote she actually read out on that episode was from way back then. And it was just still lying around, so I said, yeah, maybe I can actually use this in this video now. Because I wasn't about to try to voice a woman on my own. That is potentially problematic. It would basically be Mrs. Doubtfire. Not to mention that and incredibly hard on the throat, more than likely. I'm just building some bare bones skylight setup across the back here. Thinking I could actually use this as a landing point too if I really wanted to, or well, I could have, shoulda, woulda. There's a pretty deep mountain behind there. I might come back and revisit this a bit later. Depends on what happens down in that cavern down there. Let's just say I had a little bit of inspiration there hit. Don't know if I want to do what I'm thinking of just yet, but I might. Alright, steel plates. Why'd you need fuel? Yeah, and then the murders began. Actually, that's what was... If anything, that is exactly what would have come out of the Reddit thread at that point. The minute you got through seeing Rexar's initial post, it's like, yep, this is going to get ugly. And then the murders began. And then the PR guy responded. And then the retaliatory murders began. See, I'm gonna do like a deep voice. I can certainly pull that off, but not a woman's voice, and I would not want to necessarily offend anyone by trying either. Red Feral is hard enough on my throat. It's a reason why I have not been doing much Red Feral on the PvP videos, because I would absolutely murder my throat weekly if I was trying to do that constantly. Alright, let's see what we got here. Got most of the... We're about halfway on that. Looks like I'm going to need to expand Bob coverage, which doesn't make much... Okay, no, he is picking up there. That was his material shortage. Need to also figure out some lighting in here, too. Or really, an interior to begin with, because obviously I've got this kind of scaffold support out in the front. I've got kind of the little the wall supports here. The ceiling itself is putting out most of, well, a good bit of the weight out towards the side of the building. But it does need some help inside, especially for this ceiling. This ceiling, I'm not exactly a morphologist, but I know enough to say that this is a lot of weight I have unsupported up here. Trying to think what I want to do with... Because here I've set the scaffolding back one block from the window edge here. The next nearest spot I have to do that would be over here. Because this is probably going to wind up being like so. Just because I can, and... that goes all the way up to there. So yeah, if I just mirror this curve all the way up to the top, which is going to be awkward here. As was pointed out, I wasted on uncooperative survival. It is actually very handy at times to have Bob available. So when I'm not carrying around 1,000,001 steel parts, or steel plates, I don't have to keep running back to grab the inventory and filling it again. That'll work better. It'll work better, but now I'm... needs to be a part to support this part that I want to build. But there is no part to support the part because the part does not exist. There we go. I must satisfy myself with creating a very awkward corner now. The part I'm looking for is a piece that would look like this, the 3/4 block, basically. It would maintain this exact shape outline going up a block. No slope to it, but just kind of maintained from there. I have not seen anyone manage to get that in a mod, but... what about the ramp mod? Did that manage to give it... No, that's really generic shapes. It's not anything closely enough tied to what I'm working on here. So unfortunately, this is going to be kind of the best I can do here. And up here, it'll actually merge with the roof line there. It really does need something... So if I had that kind of block, I could actually maintain that angle up through here. And it wouldn't have that odd little jut out there. And from here... got a 3-wall for the scaffolding to sit on there, and I'm actually kind of thinking, believe it or not, vanilla hanger doors. Give it the gray so it's a slightly different color. This is something that will never be at a point where I'm legitimately going to be driving anything through, but I want something a bit more impressive than just a plain old standard door. Because I think I forgot to put any extra... Yeah, I didn't put any extra doors on here. Said I was going to look to find some... Oh, that was something else I want to discuss. Was I did ask last week for suggestions on the light mods. There are 2 mods that were suggested in the suggestion. One is, I believe, Sectan's, he's got a light pack. And that includes things like an actual like construction scaffold kind of light, you know, work light. And I've used that one in the past. In fact, I had one on the that red unnamed ship, and it works kinda. It's There's only one light I really found in it that worked, and I actually, in using it, very quickly gave up and actually went on to the navigation light as the source of the light for that. I keep making it, and you keep running out of it. I know I'm making like 2,000 plates at a time here. Go 3,000 then. May actually be having to go out and get that... hit that iron deposit again sometime soon. Because I suspect I'm going to be in for a world of hurt soon. Eventually. The other light was kind of like a strip... No. A strip light. Freaky. That was scaring me for a second. Thinking, got an alien from Independence Day coming over my head there. The strip light, unfortunately, if you go look at the description of it, it doesn't actually work in... current versions of Space Engineers. It's unfortunately broken. And I remember actually using that mod in the very distant past. I remember that when that one was out. And something about For the Life of Me kind of threw me when I was working with it. I can't remember what it was, though. And chances are it was probably even changed in the time when I stopped playing Space Engineers, too. But yeah, there was something about that rubbed me the wrong way, or didn't look quite right with what I was building. And I mean, you have to keep in mind that as far as Space Engineers goes, compared to what I'm doing today versus what I am, you know, how I built today versus how I built back then, kind of different things entirely. Yeah, I don't really need access to that, so we can drop you like so. And there. Oh, you've dropped something else on me, Keen. 5 kilometers away, so it's going to be on the side of that mountain, more than likely. Let's see where this thing lands. What do you got for me, game? You gonna chuck it on the other side of the mountain, or is that just on this side? No, you are right on top of the mountain. Alright, let me get my hydrogen. Because heaven knows, I'd rather get over there while it's... before dark really sets in. Because obviously I forgot to change the darkness setting from 6 hours to something a little more reasonable. I might as well go get it just so I can get my daily allotment of, or my 15-minute allotment of skins. I'm gonna come in for you. Oh, there's no, Sinister, honestly, there's no such thing as enough cobalt in Space Engineers. And I should state that as refined cobalt. Trust me, if you guys have been watching PvPvP, you will know what I'm talking about. Oh my god. Alright, Keen, what have you seen fit to grace me with here? Something that is trying to slowly roll down the hill. That's okay. I can stop it and get the thing and rainbow boots. Okay. And non-elite but slightly upgraded equipment. Got it. Can you tell I'm not really interested in upgraded equipment, Keen? Oh, so nice to have a proper, a very proper speed going. So much cobalt. So I'm glad I've got enough at least to throw together the heavy grades I need now. Alright, so we've got a garage. We've got some mining that we need to do. I do have silver down there that I can actually get. I just have to actually drill down to it. Or more accurately, I've got a hole drilled down to it. I just have to find a way to actually mine through it. Now, Pam's going to be a little bit of a problem when it comes to this kind of setup because I'm not 100% convinced it's going to be able to navigate this setup. I mean, it's a hole. It does go down to the silver layer, or the gold layer at least. Silver shouldn't be too far behind. Where are we here? That's ice. That's silver that way. Let's actually go ahead and... Well, I'm over here. Because it's so close, I can get there in no time. We'll bring back a little bit to take care of. Hopefully with that... Yeah, actually have a passable drillable hole. Holy crap. I can actually walk here for once. Because I know I don't need a heck of a lot of silver. I mean, that's really... medbay and... Really, if I need to, I can always bring the mining ship over here, too. That would certainly let me pick up more than enough silver. But medbay components, not missiles. Christ, I was just having this problem on Saturday. Medbay components require silver. There's bottles that require silver, which I definitely am going to want some more oxygen bottles if I go up to orbit. Don't need all that stone, though, that's for sure. My brain is drawing a complete blank on what else requires silver. Yeah, because you made me pick up a bunch of stone. That would be why my inventory is full, game.
Inventory full.
Okay, now I'm legit full. So nice to just be able to jet right out of that hole straight up and know I'm not going to hit anything on the way out. Alright, you're working cobalt. You're working uranium. You're working nickel. Nickel can go in the arc furnace. It's doing nothing right now. And then that way, I can go back and drag the silver directly in there. There we go. Okay. I did pick up some silver. Okay. Well, now I got a little bit more of it. Even better. Need to... Ooh, actually, I might be able to fit this out here. For once, I may actually have a wall and a button panel positioned in just such a way that it will actually look good. Holy crap. Medbay reactors, reactor components. That's what I'm thinking of. Thank you. That's... Oh, man. That's going to really tick me off. And you know why? Because uncooperative survival, I could have just pulled the reactor components that were sitting in the back of the rider module out. Because I don't think I had that thing fully emptied from my first trip out there. Alright, let's find the hangar doors here. I'm going to fix these first. Give these a proper name so I can identify them later when I inevitably forget. And why you do not copy paste? Game, a copy a pasta, please. I would like some pasta. Any amount of pasta you could give me. Thank you very much. Don't even ask me what kind of voice that was supposed to be, because I've got no frickin' clue. Okay, garage, walk in, open. So that's there, and... Come on, not the HUD, I don't care about the HUD. Or the lights, come on, fingers. Garage, walk in, open closed. Okay, now I have a way to properly close that. Now... brain is screaming at me that there's something missing here, and it's because there's this big blank wall and nothing really kind of working with it. What it needs is, even though it doesn't rain in Space Engineers, because frankly, let's be honest, there's a giant lake of ice everywhere, it probably would not be raining. It would probably be snowing. But even then, you would need an overhang over an entrance to keep out some of the worst of the elements, and it makes a very handy place to mount a corner light underneath it for a little bit of extra lighting. So now we just need to actually get those. Mr. Farrell's also going to try to do his best to observe proper lighting etiquette here and fix his lights as he goes so that he doesn't get confused at a later point. Namely, yoink. Forget naming the lights, just turn them off. I know they're set up. Should be... I'm getting a little bit of bleed through from the spotlight over here, unfortunately. Can be fixed. Don't need to see the creation lit up by its own vehicle. That's not too bad. Gives us the window, gives us a little bit of contrasting light around the entryway so you know it's there. Yeah, kind of works. Alright. Next challenge is what the heck am I doing in here? Aside from, I need to get that scaffolding in place. Let's actually switch over. Even though color doesn't really matter on a scaffold block, I'd like to actually think that I was doing something useful with those and in the right matching color set. Grind that piece down. Especially because colors do matter, because if I place the scaffolding block and it's that pink color, I'm going to be cursing myself. Yep, I guess I am cursing myself. Doesn't exactly line up, does it? Yep. That there's what we call a mistake. That's no good. I have to figure out something to do about that, because on one hand, on the other hand, Do I want to keep it that way, or do I want to adjust the roof lighting that I've got up here? Because I could, if I swap the 3 panel to work here, I could keep that as a 1 panel, or I could just go full slab over it. And I don't even have the stuff in on that side, so I guess the easiest time to fix it is going to be now. So let's go ahead and... Oh, I don't even have the window in there, so that doesn't matter. There are happy little mistakes, and there are some not so happy little mistakes. But I'm not about to throw the whole canvas out. Side walkway leading to an upper catwalk. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of leaning towards that. Well, primarily along the back, there's definitely going to be a catwalk over to here at least, because, in all honesty, that's the easiest way to get to the cockpit on this thing. So, there's definitely going to be a catwalk coming over, probably dropping down to about this level. Then again, maybe not, because I want to kind of do a little bit of something like this with the tube. And that will let me run the catwalk on top of it. When I actually remembered that there is a solid block over here that has to be worried about. I'm gonna place the block when I place. You placed it, you made the sound like you placed it, but then you said no. I have not yet begun to place. So yeah, catwalk coming out, running over this way. And I agree with the upper axis to the point where I could even see it coming all the way up to here. Problem is the transition from where the door is going to be tricky, and I can't really run the catwalk too far here, because obviously that yellow line is where the wheels are. So I have to kind of consider that area in violet. Especially because I don't have a lot of wiggle room in this design for either side. I can make it work. I just have to kind of think about that a little more. And what I want to do is think about that after I get this dealt with. One challenge at a time. Like, say, challenges of insufficient resources. Can I call it, or can I call it? You are out of light steel. You are out of the steel plates. Okay. You say that, game, but am I? 200. We're good for a little while. Probably should have picked up some girders, because I'm sure I'll be out of those when I want to replace these particular windows up here. But since I don't have them in the center anyways, I'm not going to worry too much about them. Also gained some newfound confidence in my Minecraft ledge building skills here in Space Engineers. It turns out that skill does actually translate when you're not dealing with a server that's fighting you on SimSpeed, at least. Actually getting pretty good at managing to position myself in a good spot to be able to do this sort of thing. And not go walking right off the edge of what I'm trying to build. I think that's how that works. How does this side work for the scaffolding over here? Should be... Oh, right. Window. That block there, which is this block here. I'm not going to go for that unknown signal, because I'm not going to get anything out of you. Okay, yep, that's when we start doing our curve. Good, so I've got this built properly. All things considered, very lucky in that. Okay. Now for the next question. How does this work out? You might have got... Okay, I've got 3 bottles of hydrogen that it's saying I've got full here, so that's good. 2 block gap on this side. 1, 2, 3 for the window, and Yep, okay, so 1, 2 here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yep, this is indeed spaced out correctly. Second there, I was extremely concerned. Okay, mildly annoyed, let's be honest. That I have to rip out all of the blocks along the way here and fix them to the proper width. But no, Mr. Farrell's mirror mode sense has reigned supreme today. So far, at least. More accurately, it's just the fact that I know that this is symmetrical, the supports are symmetrical, so building in between just needs to be a case of setting things up exactly the way I left them. Proper scaffold gantry block. Sinister, that is... let me check here, make sure I find it properly. Go ahead and look for... I think I can lay my fingers on them right away almost. There's 2 of them that I'm using here. One of them is from UOH. Let's get you down to mods only. There's the catwalk mod I'm using. I am looking for the heavy armor blocks 1.0 here. So this is that really kind of rough-edged look, and he's used it in the idea of having like exposed scaffolding almost on a ship or like a ship segment. So it's heavy armor and everything. I like it from, it looks really good for a structural standpoint. You've got the whole caution outline on it and everything. So this has all of the various little blocks that you see that I've been using here and in the hangar. The other one is... Now, let's go back. Backity back. You're going to say that. Fine game. Steam, your silly little browser. I think that one is legit, just Shaustel's Scaffolding. Yeah. Shaustel's Scaffolding, because that's got the 1x1 and the 3x3 version. Small and large ship. And honestly, if you're using Bob and you are not using this mod to be able to still achieve your scaffolding look, you are absolutely crazy. Because otherwise you're having to do annoying things like set the ignore color on everything. So that's the 2 mods that are providing scaffolding blocks going on here. Let's kick back out of that. Figure it's a lot easier to deal with those now than to try to remember, oh yeah, I need to put that in the comments, or need to remember to bring that up for next week, especially because I probably do owe you guys a slightly updated mod list. There have been 1 or 2 mods creeping in here and there. Caught myself that time. Didn't quite have that block just out there enough. Lighting. I need to put some lighting in here. And I've got the spotlights. The spotlights are doing pretty good there at the front. But definitely needs some interior lighting. Unfortunately, this is actually really where I was kind of saying I wish there was a mod, because I mean, there are super lights in the game that, if I got them, would light up this whole area. But the problem is I don't really want super lights. It's kind of a hard way to explain it, because I want lighting, but I want kind of like somewhat realistic lighting. And this is, you know, kind of real. It's pretty close to realistic, I would say. The problem is trying to balance that out against what Keen wants for lighting as far as what it will let you get away with. And unfortunately, that's not always a lot. So what we're going to do is a slight modification of what I've been doing on the other world. I mean, to give you guys an example, let me find the image here real quick. because it's an absolutely beautiful screenshot, and unfortunately it doesn't show well on camera at all. What I have got in mind, and what I'm actually actively trying to not reproduce here, is this. Because this is very much, this is my creative build world currently. So I'm saying I found some floor lighting I can kind of get away with that kind of works, but doesn't work very well with the blast door blocks. This is that scaffolding mod up in the ceiling, but these suspended lights, as you can see, there's areas where the game is just saying, no, I'm not going to render that light in, I'm not going to render these lights in, I'm not going to render the lights that are down this hall in. It's doing some oddball stuff, so I'm trying to avoid reproducing this looking exactly. Just because it means that I would almost be guaranteed to start hitting lighting issues here. So I think if I do something like that and then play around with those lights a tad, we should be in good shape. At least for anything that gets in the hangar. Larger scope is obviously going to be a little bit of a problem. Actually, I'm going to leave these at 1, see what that looks like. I mean, realistically, here's the real problem. This is a light that is pointing completely down in the game. How? Why bright light pointing down reflect, like... I can't complain. I mean, it actually looks good with the light up there because it does bring out a bit of, yeah, I might be able to live with that. This might just be the case of I need to leave those as is until I get a bit more done in here. Except that's the only place I'm going to be able to get scaffold lights in. Oh, lighting, why do you have to be such a pain? I mean, because I do have these navigation lights too. I could get into some really crazy stuff with those. Like, for instance, I'm kind of realizing I should have some sort of beacon light over here. Let's just do that. Come on. There we go. It's the navigation light. I've got a couple. Don't remember putting that many on the base. Did Farrell put lights in and not properly turn them off? Yes, he did. Oh, that annoying guy. Come on. Off you go. Okay, let's just do this with both so I actually get both of them. Max fall off. 0.5 intensity because they're outdoors. Let's see what that looks like. Kind of a soft, subdued glow. So that thing lights up a... Well, I mean, here you go. This light is up here and is managing to light that. I'm being a little too hard on Keen here because if I really wanted realistic lighting, I'd be building all of these scenes in Blender. Let's be honest. It's crazy talk to expect the game to be able to support every possible desire, and I was just making that point earlier, so let's just get something functional, you know? Okay, that is a bit better, so at least I know where the edge of that building is, but... Why am I seeing this engine thrusting? No, 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 no. Are you burning power just to do that? Don't need an engine to keep you off. You're parked. Silly rover. Alright. Yeah, this looks pretty good in the dark. This so far... Yeah. Need to explore some lighting options here. And I think some of that actually is going to be best done with doing a little bit of block blending. So, no, right, I can't. That would have worked perfectly. I can do it on the inside. I can fit lights in that spot here. So I can at least make the inside a bit brighter. But it's not going to focus on the outside, kind of like I was hoping. In fact, if I turn off that... Well, we don't see any sign of it right now because corner light. Not the brightest thing in the Keen universe, by default. Hey, now I'm seeing it. Let's see if that intensity too, actually. Don't like the hard shadows I'm getting there. I might be able to actually work around... So this is the problem. I start off with a little bit of a light concept, and then I keep adding more and more and more, and then I get confused why the game has suddenly decided that half these lights don't exist anymore. There's a reason why that happens. Because Mr. Farrell is getting light happy. Also window happy too. Let's get a window in there. Kind of need a window to put a light against. 3x3. What do you got? Yeah, that's what I thought. I probably haven't put easy inventory back on, have I? Nope. Easy enough. You should have the rest of that, and that light. I'm willing to bet if... Let me see if I can actually get an angle so that you'll see what happens when I do this. Need some of that glowing rock Bethesda makes all the well-lit caves out of. Yeah, glowing fungus. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I didn't think, because I thought I'd be going back and adjusting. There's 4 on the outside. Let's kill those and do the same thing on the inside. Okay, that evens out the lighting a little bit. Upper deck grid is still kind of... I don't want to add lights all over the place. Maybe I do need to look at least getting one of those mega lights in here, basically, and just using it to at least get enough of a glow. I mean, the building looks great when it's dark, or when it's light outside, because it's got a nice dark color contrast against the lake and the hillside here, but still kind of blends into a certain point. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this thing lit up, I think. I get a little bit of an effect from the outside, but not much of one. There's not much. What I need is an inverted corner light. I need something that I could position here, but have it act like it's this. I mean, I could do that. The game does let you get away with that. It's weird how they'll let you do corner blocks in some areas like this, but not all of them. Just see what that... Yeah, that needs a bit more support for lighting. I think this one I'm going to have to go with a much more subtle outside. Turn those off, put you guys on. So this one's probably going to be down to the 0.5, maybe? Ooh, actually, that's pretty good from there. It's not quite reaching the bottom of the window, but in this case, I'm kind of okay with that. And it's providing even a little bit of extra light over to this window, but you don't get the details of the quote-unquote grill work in the windows there. AKA the doors that are just on either sides. Never too... Well, no. Let's be honest, number one geek. Never too hard on Keen to a certain point. I mean, at the end of the day, especially when you look at, for example, what happened to Telltale Studios. And how, I mean, all these people are working incredibly hard to get the game out, get the games out, get them out on time and everything. And then, kaboom, there goes the company, you get absolutely nothing. Good day, sir, and out on your ass on the street, basically. So, keep in mind, there's going to be a certain aspect of that going on. There's definitely going to be a lot of pressure, and there's always been a lot of pressure to get the game out there, especially now that you've got games that are bordering on the same sort of building sandbox in space. So, to some extent, it's like I said, there are parts about that whole thread that I could agree with, there are parts I didn't agree with, and that was on both sides, so it's one thing to be salty for good reason. What are you doing here? Hello? I didn't even pick up on that. You're blasting right through that block on the inside, aren't you? Yeah. It's the corner light on the lights here. Interesting. Give me 2 of those. Oh, come on, game. Don't tell me you're doing that only because of the window. You're probably only doing it because of the window. You're more than likely doing it only because of the window. Because you know this is going to drive me absolutely batty. Let's see. You're set. You're set. Inside, I was doing to 2 on full everything. Yeah, I'm getting the reflection of the light on that block, but the blowback is definitely coming from that corner light. Well, crap. I mean, the effect of this is perfect. I mean, you can't get half-block lighting like this anywhere in the game. So I love the look that this is giving it, but I can't replicate it on... Well, I could try. I mean... It'll look a little wonky only being on one corner like that, but we can try. Let's actually turn that off briefly so I can find 48, 50 and 50, no, 49 and 50 were the ones I just did. 48's going to be one of the ones on the inside. I'm afraid to put Show on HUD on because it's going to turn this thing into a nightmare. Let's find somewhere back in here is going to be the ones I put outside. It might still be on 1. 1 or 2. Okay, well, better 1 or better 2, I guess. Let's find all these glass doors. You don't need to keep those. Pretty sure I don't need to see that every time I go into this thing. Getting the game out there is one thing, but raking in the cash, screwing over your employees and customer base is not generally considered a good business practice. In that regards, I will completely agree. I mean, when you look at something like RimWorld, which has come out of 1.0 after, what was it, 5.5 years, I think they said? And for a 3-person, almost volunteer effort studio, that's pretty darn good. I mean, to have that as polished as it is right now, that's really not that bad. And I have been playing that lately and would consider that certainly polished from what I've seen. Yeah, that's the trick. I've got to get the... Yep, I have got to get lights over here then. I am not giving up that lighting effect. Hell no, I am keeping that come hell or high water. Stick a light there. I can stick an accent light back here and hide it, and there. It's gonna look kind of weird and wonky, but eh. Space engineers, there's some things you just have to do because of the way the engine works. 10, 2, 1. All right. 10, 2, 1 for the fall off. Or not the fall off, the intensity. A lot of people usually try to do the reverse, and I'll admit that I was really guilty of doing that myself. Where I would just take the lights and crank them up. And, you know, go full intensity, whatever. And that usually doesn't work out all that great. But this is working out pretty good. I like that. It's got the feeling of a lit up edge of a building, but you're only seeing that edge. You're not seeing the green piece of it here. But now this building's looking a bit more... looking a bit less like just this black hole in the darkness. So that is definitely getting there. Now I need to do something with the bottom, because obviously I'm not getting much out of that. But I think the bottom is going to sort itself out here if I just do... I don't even think I need to really change these lights doing this. Just a plain old, everyday, run-of-the-mill accent light. Yeah, it's the darker underside. Yeah, it needs the controlled fall off on that. It's gonna work with that. And this is how you quickly wind up with 60 lights in a scene. Game is not gonna like me for this. I know it's not gonna like me for this. It's going to absolutely freak out when I do this many lights, and you're gonna see it start to stack up pretty quickly here. What's going to happen is I'm going to go with a softer light down there. So that way it matches up with the intensity of the lights underneath that. That's a bit better. Now I'm kind of feeling like these lights are actually projecting down on the ground now. It's kind of sad that you have to do these kinds of lighting tricks to pull it off, but do what you do, and you do what you have to do. That doesn't look too bad. Let's just do... yeah. I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, it's definitely got a nice, unique look. Yeah, I'm realizing I've got to light this ramp a bit better now, too. Because this thing, it's enjoying the light from this side, but there's nothing from this side quite hitting it. But yeah, I like that. That's working pretty good. And the other thing I'm thinking about revisiting is this corner here, because this is sticking out like a sore thumb when I've got this going all the way out like that and two other walls here, but yet the game does not have a curved wall to be able to fit into a position like this. So I might just turn this into a stairwell going down a level here. We'll see about that. I did promise something of a catwalk over here, and now that I've got some lighting in here, I think we definitely need to take advantage of that. So I'm going to grab... I still got the dark gray on. Okay. Didn't realize I did. And this is another block that the game does not have, which would be nice to have. Some way to join these two together here. Because, you know, I mean, I can, but the way I have to join it's not exactly great. So what I need to do is I just need to make a list of all the blocks that I've ever found that I need in any given mod, and just, or in any given series, and just say, yeah, okay, this is what I need from a mod developer. Can someone possibly make these for me? Okay, we curve it back out. Alright, that works for that. This is going to be a bit trickier since I have a bob in here that I can't tear down. Actually, what I might do is haul out, just for a bit of variation. Yeah, that'll work. And I can probably just do... It's not going to be 100% perfect. I need to get behind the refineries and seal off that so it's actually got a bit of a block behind it, but I think that'll do for now. Can I even get back there now is the question. Without getting myself stuck. That's the other question. Survey says, show me potato salad. Not from that angle. Probably not gonna be able to get to it from the front. No, maybe I can. Aha, I can. Okay, let's just kind of do filler blocks in there. Because I genuinely don't want to see necessarily all of that wall detail. I mean, I'll see this tiny little corner over here because I can't really do much about that and keep the blast door blocks in use with this, but I'll kind of hide the stuff there. Yep. Yep. I'm feeling it. I am definitely feeling that spot. Let's do one other trick here. Actually going to... throw 2 nav lights in there. Because I think those are going to fit with that style a little better. Turn those 2 on the roof off. Or not off. Go to max fall off. Intensity is 0.5. That should give me a nice soft light over there. Perfect. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. I'm liking this, and this is going to get interesting when I start putting in the catwalks up here. Do I want to... Yeah, I think I need to stick with the white theme on the catwalks for this area here. How do I want to get the stairway done, though? Ugh. The only place I can actually feasibly get this thing here is... Guess I'm just gonna have to do the steep stairs there. Ugh, girders. Ach, mein girders! Oh, my hydrogen. Yikes. I will take every girder you have, system. If you'll let me get away with it. Mod for damage scale world settings. Something to tweak the time to kill for grids. That would be... Basically just kind of upping the... more or less you're talking about kind of upping the durability of the block without having to necessarily go absolutely hog wild. With, you know, just going straight for heavy armor and whatnot. Am I right with that assumption? Ugh, I'm out of girders again. Knew I was gonna need a ton of these. I should have just ordered more wells down here. Especially because it looks like the assemblers are going to be quite busy with that one. Production. Manual. $400 should be enough. Alright. especially since I'm nicking 74 of them right off the bat. Alright, there's a block that would have fit perfectly in here. Yep, there it is. It's gonna be fun to get in there, but we can. Okay, so definitely not the finished product, obviously. There's a lot of building that Bob is doing in the scene, behind the scenes there, but good enough, I think. I mean, we can definitely see the vehicle down there. The trick is with Shessel's catwalks is the stairs can be kind of difficult to work with. Yeah, by difficult, I mean almost impossible to try to position. Not without being right next to a block like this. And even then, you can see this one's going to be very hinky because obviously it's got nothing there. It's inside of another block there. This is honestly where I really would rather prefer having UOH's mod or catwalks to set that up. Oh, you're not going to let me do anything in there because sorter, aren't you? You're wired into the system. I don't know why you're refusing to even think about touching those. You can also tell I'm burning through the ice at a relatively decent pace there, too. Alright, so that's where we know the catwalk is going to be. Which makes sense that it's going to... I would put it about here, 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 which is okay because I don't really care that it's crossing over where the door is. Nothing's coming through the door really that big. To here, to here. So you're kind of about here, finally getting down to where the catwalk is going to land. The ladder, at least. Unless I wanted to make it a too high or a too width stair, which would take forever to get over there. So, knowing that, and knowing that this is going to be kind of a little on the wonky side as well. And I need a freely open catwalk on this, because I want to be able to walk off the cockpit, or walk off into the cockpit of the mining ship there. That should work. Connector block is about a block below. This will be slightly above the cockpit, but won't be too bad. I hate it when I get desynced like that as far as my keys go. Forward you go. Give me the light so I can see what I'm doing. Why are you not locking? Oh, you're locking but not indicating the lock because that group is set with both connectors on it. The front and rear, so yeah, because one is not locked, it will say status lock, unlocked. Such wonderful creative messages from the game. Not gonna get salty, not gonna get salty. Just relaxed, build. Here to have fun tonight. Not leaving yourself room to walk to the catwalk through the hangar doors. Sure I am. You have to remember, this is a block out over here. I was using the positioning here because I obviously can't build a block out like this. The stairwell is going to be here, and that's why I haven't built this corner up, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to have out here, to be honest with you. Because I've got to go through some creative shenanigans to get this thing to build up properly. Are you... what are you out of? Steel plates? Are you kidding me? Oh, good grief, game. You're killing me here. Something's got to be getting jammed up in the assembler somewhere, I suspect. Okay, so that will give me a pretty good... Yeah. Oh, look at that. I even bounced out on this block itself. I don't want to get it... Actually, Shoustel, if anyone happens to have an in with Shoustel, can I suggest a half, or even UH for that matter, a half catwalk block for a situation like this where you want it to be able to get close to the cockpit but not impinge directly on the block. So that way I'm not grinding this thing against a catwalk block if I put one here all the time. What am I gonna do for stairwell up here? And how? Because that's part of the problem. Oh, let's do this then. We know it's going to work if I go from this general direction here. It's going to take that far for it to travel. Let's do... Where's that one with the one on 2 corners? Because I want this to look like it fits with the railing. 2 corners. 1, 2. Okay. Then we have a corner block. Then we have the wall block. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now, let's see how hard it is with this mod to get a stairwell to go up properly here. 1 by 1, handrail on both sides. Okay, first block. See, this is the problem. You have to take it from the bottom. And sometimes you don't want to take it from... No, 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 nope, 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 nope. Stop, Bob. Sometimes you don't want to take it from the bottom for various reasons. Mostly among them, the thruster drift driving you nuts because you can't actually position anything properly. That's not too far off. That's actually pretty good. There we go. Ooh, and not cut off the jetpack over there because that's not going to be in the right spot, is it? There we go. See? Plenty of room, guys. In fact, I actually got to extend that a bit further than I was expecting off of the scaffolding, just because at that point, it makes more sense to start the climb here because we're staying nice and clear of our vehicle potential limits there, or whatever future vehicles may come to dock in here. Blue may not always be the thing that comes forth into the depths of the hangar. Let's actually fix a little bit of this overhang too, because that's going to drive me bad as I try to build the back end of this. So we've got a supported scaffolding run through here. We've got a cargo container I can still get into. We've got a build and repair system, which is apparently somehow completely backed up. What is going on here? You're kidding me. Explain? Keen? There's even... What are you even doing? There is absolutely no reason for this to suddenly be a problem. The refinery can't feed back in from the cargo container? No, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. That should not be a problem. It's a break in the tube. That's red down there. What in God's name has happened over here? So something's gone wrong between that end and this end. And now the system is acting completely derpish. Come on, you can fit me through there, game. Yeah, look at that. This tunnel is perfectly fine. This tunnel is not. Aha! I see the problem. I do not understand the problem, but I do see it. And yeah, I know I could have just really gone through the tube itself to figure out what's going on. What in blazes has happened here? Keen, yeah. Alright, I'll fix it. I mean, I don't understand why this is somehow a problem, but apparently it is. That's not the one I want. Maintenance access, maintenance end, no. No, I don't want the airlock. Right, that's the end caps. I don't want the end caps. Need the actual piece, which I probably don't have in... I don't know what would have... I didn't hear anything sound like it was clanging out, so I don't know. But that should fix the problem. Why am I drifting? Why is it... You guys were seeing that on the stream, right? This entire grid was levitating up into a side direction. Maybe I just better get the heck out of here. Oh, that's right, I can't get out in this direction anymore. I used to be able to get out this side until I took a bob to the corridor. At least I can get in from here and check it. I mean, actually, I shouldn't have to. It does sound like it's... yeah, pick back up. Okay, so random tunnel breakage is on the menu for tonight, apparently. Don't exactly know why, but... stranger things have been known to happen in this, the game of Keen. Now it's actually keeping up with me. Okay. That is just bizarre. I wish I could even say that was something I scripted, but no, that is not anything that... That's not like, say, a certain ship coming down out of the sky on top of my head, after all. Never did get my delivery, either. Some bastard out there has my painting supplies. Quite cross at, fed up for that. I want to leave the tunnel visible from here, because I want to actually have... no, not off the end of the catwalk. Yes, I know Mr. Farrell did not extend the catwalk properly over, but I'm going to continue that that's someone else's fault. I haven't quite figured out how to keep that blame elsewhere, but I'm going to continue to assume it. Here's a fun little trick. Blast door blocks. Because you know how I love to greeble with these guys. Just to give me a little bit of a texture back there. And... do I go for blaster blocks to kind of continue that look, or do I want to go solid frame back there? I think we'll go solid, but stick with the dark color. There we go. Then what we can do is put our next layer of the wall on top of that. So the only thing I have to do is address little chunks like that. And technically that. I'll wait until the wall gets welded up to go after that one. Otherwise I'm likely to blow things up. Like that. Game. Why you no build? Get a bad feeling about this. I have a very sneaky suspicion the base is now cursed. No, you're intact. Yeah, you're intact all the way through. What are you out of now, game? Really? I mean... Large cargo container. 191 ore. Assembler 4. Aha! I see the problem. Let me guess. No, it hasn't got any of that stone. It's left the stone in the cargo container on the annual ship there, but that was interesting. It shouldn't have been able to clog up the inventory quite that bad. That's kind of scary. Whoa, okay. Game, can we just not do this tonight, please? I've just gone through the whole point of saying, at least you're more stable than multiplayer for me lately, and now you're starting to do things like this that frankly scare me. You've already claimed one of my worlds in creative mode, because you will corrupt the grids unloading. I would like to keep this world. It is a nice world. Just saying is all. Thinking the other problem I've got is I need to build down access here. So if anything, that's going to be the trickier thing to fit into here. Is a down ladder. Actually, I don't think I can do a... Did I? Yeah, I haven't added ladders to the game. Does Update Parody complaining that ladders are not part of the game does not actually have the ladder mod in his creative build. Define irony. Also known as bunch of idiots dancing on a plane to a song made famous that by a band that died in a plane crash. Come on, where's that stupid little corner piece? Can we at least, Shastel, if we could at least have the stairs and ramps on a different G menu item, that would really be useful. I mean, to be honest, it's gonna be a tight fit. A very tight fit. One would say probably not a good idea fit. You're right on that line. And I can't exactly jog this over any further from that angle. Let's see. I don't really have a good way to approach this because of the scaffold block. Unless I choose to... So I've got plenty of room to bring it down on this side. Except for the windows. Because the windows behind the glass doors, because the glass on that mod is broken, it's going to prevent me from doing anything to that extent. So that is all not going to work. I'm going to need the ladders mod. Or, do I have anything I might be able to use to descend a level without necessarily using a ladder that I don't have, that I'd rather not have to load everything back up on? That needs to go up on the roof, I think. But that will be later. It would have to be... Realistically, I could go with a... No, I can't even go with an inverted ramp. Because that's not going to be enough. I'm 3 off the ground. I can't bring it down that way on a ramp either. I can't bring it down... Could bring the downstairs over to the end of the stairs that comes down from above. Well, the problem is I'm in the same boat over here. I could certainly bring this around. Oh, that's going to drop right on top of me practically. Thank you, game. Am I for H2? I can make it there easily enough. The problem is I'm in the same boat if I try to come down this side. This doesn't really offer enough clearance. I'm a little concerned with how that sets itself up and everything. There's not enough room, and it just means I'm more than likely going to potentially hit. Speaking of potentially hit, where's the ground? I know you guys can't see this because YouTube, but holy crap. Okay, chute has deployed. Empty that out. Where is your... On the bottom, of course. We're likely going to settle on the bottom. Well, at least it's being thematic tonight, giving me the rainbow shoes and now the rainbow rifle. Alright, oh, actually that's sitting there saying I can't see anything, but it actually looked like there was red pulsing lights behind me there. For that matter, if I look out just to the corner of... Oh, I know what it is. No, I've got the... Keen, why have you changed my default suit yet again? I was in the veteran suit. Why have you put me in the annoying, clean, squeaky clean suit? Anyways. Let's turn that off. Take a look at that view, guys. How cool is that? Again, I know this is not reflecting well at all on YouTube, unfortunately, but for me in person, this is looking pretty cool. It helps I've only got 4 spotlights in this area. I think that's really the defining factor right now. Stairs where it meets by the conveyors. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, put the downstairs there. Yeah, I could do that. I mean, I'd almost rather keep the catwalk rail running around, but I can always drop a path down off the side, especially over by the connector itself. Wouldn't be too hard. Go for the slow walk back to base just because this looks so cool going in like this. Shining beacon in the darkness. One man stands up against the world that holds the greatest threat to his survival. Gravity. Well, I kind of have to stand up in gravity. You don't really have a choice. I mean, you could sit. You could choose to lie down in the face of gravity, but standing up is a pretty good way of defying gravity. Oh, that's so beautiful. And it actually works now, having this so brightly lit from the inside, because now that little corner up there thematically matches with the fact that it's lit like this from the outside. So I'm pretty happy with how that's working. Yeah, I see what you mean. Alright, over here. J. Velez, it was... You're kind of talking out in this area. Which is definitely doable, or even... could extend the front walk to wrap around it and bring the stairs down back here. To play around with this. That's the corner. I want to keep it clear of the wheels because keen. Because I don't want to have it like right up against this, because then that's just going to look ugly. So if I do that... Oh my god, I don't need 1,000,001 rails, just please give me the one I want. It's like trying to go to the paint store and order a type of paint, and you get asked, what kind of paint do you want? Like a nice blue paint. Well, do you want duckate blue? Do you want like sky blue? Do you want XYZ blue? Just give me some paint. Some basic paint. I know I crack fun at Merrick for his 64 or his 16 color EGA palette requirement in SE for style guidelines. Whoop, nope, that's gonna drop it. Went one black too far. It's okay, I needed to grind these down anyways. I just want to paint. I do not need 16 different shades of blue or green or yellow. Just give me something that is close to the color I would like. Thank you. Reality, Mr. Farrell is not much of a painter. Mini painter, and that is about it. And even then, it is just as annoying. Come on, there's the block. So let me go for a corner. I like that this mod gives you all the choices to having the corner post in it, but oh my goodness, there are sometimes I really just don't want to bother with it. There we go. Catwalk on that side. To that side. Make this a 4-post. Just because I'm trying to be realistic, quote unquote. It stays open there. I need the corner. Nope, that's... Oh, if there's any mod that ever needs to be made, it's a mind reading mod. The G menu mind reading mod. Can someone get started on that? We've got brain interface. We've got like each. Yep, there goes Harold's brain. We've got EKG monitors for you know, like interfacing our brains with our computers. Why don't we have the ability to have it automatically be able to tell me or select the block I want to build? How cool would that be? Oh, this is going to need a bit of work back here. Not that I'm afraid of work. It's just going to need a bit of work. Cancun blue. Oh, you mean like Caribbean blue, light sky blue, sea blue, Caribbean blue, not Cancun blue, Caribbean blue. It's like, how many different ways can we describe, and I'm laughing because I'm actually thinking this, is the fact of the matter is that having done graphics, arts, and web design for quite some time, I'm more than familiar with the number of shades that are available, including the color system that we use in Space Engineers currently. Don't have that wall in here, do I? Let's correct that. Actually, what I should probably do is do a bit of a mix of these guys. So these are thinner walls. So that way I can actually still get behind here if I want to for maintenance purposes. I just have to be a bit picky about how I do this top bit. And I can use... I know you got a corner wall for me here. I know it exists. I've seen this. There we are. that one. So this kind of gives me a little bit of a behind the scenes wall that I can use here. Try to kind of keep these edges together and matching up. Okay, so that gives me a little bit of a horizontal break and something underneath that to be a tad more believable. And we can just do 8, because that's got a bit of a... Yes, there we go. That one has almost a bit of a pillar-like appearance there. Okay, please. I don't need my jetpack to be so finely tuned to let me drift 0.001 of a meter second. Silly game. That's just crazy talk. Now I can get the stairs going down here a bit easier. Now I must think of lighting. I used the nav lights there, which worked out pretty good. Space I'll leave between you guys. 1, 2, 3. That works good. 2, 3. Oh, perfect. It's going to center itself beautifully there. And gives me a chance to do one other fun little touch. And not a bad touch, but a good touch. Nope, not the pillar. Pillar's not good. Let's find our dark gray. Come on, game. Let me loose. Let me slip the surly bonds of earth. Just because I still like the fact that you can do the reflective strips like this on it. They don't do jack squat for lighting, but they still look pretty good. Yep. That's fine, Mr. Spotlight on you. You need to be turned off as far as that goes. Spotlight off. That does not seem like that was the spotlight I wanted. Why? Oh, right, because we've got the static lighting on the front. Never mind. Silly Pharaoh. Yeah, neural control interface. I mean, I know there's been hardware that exists to that point to the extent that you can at least kind of control like an up, down, left, right kind of thing, I believe. Not a very accurate one or perfect one, but one that does exist at the very least. And I know they've made some even more... I'm trying to think of the word here. Some more advances in it. So they definitely have been getting somewhere. But I mean, imagine if you had a game that could just pick up on what you're thinking and say, okay, yeah, I know what you're thinking. You need to use that block. How cool would that be? Okay, we'll get rid of that. And just for the heck of it, because I want to see this. Corner light. Turn those off, please. Thank you. Now I can actually see this wall the way it's meant. So this is going to kind of be an interesting change up, because before I'm keeping the wall kind of dark, then you get into this area where it matches up with the structure of the base, basically, and we've got this very white tech wall going on here, to the point where I think I even need to kind of carry over some of that design here. Which means I need to figure out what wall that is. I think it was the third one. So 1, 2, 3 looks about right. I just wish that these things were colorable. That's my only drawback I have on this wall. is you can't actually color them. They're stuck to the block colors that are already part of the block itself. There we go. Flip that, and then the inverse on this side, and the inverse on that side, just to maintain a pattern. I would actually put that in place for here, but it would look a little on the weird side, I suspect. It does kind of look on the weird side almost there. Some of the systems can very easily read movements before you make them, but doesn't help if you don't make the movement. Yep. Okay, that's okay. Bob will pick that up for me. Let's just go ahead and put plain old white armor block in there, because that will continue that sort of, yeah, there we go. And that works, because that maintains that, and then the pipe kind of does the same thing almost over here. Let's also unload the massively overwhelmed cargo inventory. But first, let's make sure this is working. Hey, what do you know? I can refill my tanks from the hangar now. What a concept. Who'd ever thought? Oh, this is my inventory. Well, that's why I'm carrying a lot of interior plates around for some reason. Where are you dropping that? Right on my face again, even though I'm not going to actually get anything out of it. Okay, gotcha, game. Okay, so I can continue this around to wrap against the outside wall there. We've still got the access here, which I... How can I not get this when I could get this earlier? Oh. That's right, I forgot. One of the mods I've got is one that disables a lot of the highlighting in the game, so you don't see this big, ugly, yellow stain across your vision just because you happen to be able to be looking at something you can click. Okay, so that's... How does that look from the outside? Can't really see too much of the detail work there. Well, that's okay. I know it'll be there. It'll be that happy little catwalk section here. It'll be your secret and my secret here. Now, in all honesty, I do like that, because then that way I can kind of continue it along, drag it in through there. Maybe there's going to be a tube for the cargo up to the top of the roof there. Got that. Probably easier to use voice control. Well, yes and no. I've worked with voice systems in the past, and while they have definitely come a very long way, I still don't really think they've come quite far enough. Yeah, phrasing on that one. Yikes. Alright, but I do love I love using blast doors as, like, ribbing and whatnot. I've got that, there's that spot on the forward hood of the old thug boat that uses that for ribbing, and there is a similar spot hidden away on the Cossack as well. Unfortunately, it's a spot that's been blasted into debris pretty much, but, you know, it's still flying, so I technically can't complain. Okay. What else do I need then? I mean, I've got the outside wall that I need to work on. Don't exactly know how long I'm going to be going tonight, guys, because, I mean, with everything that has been going on in SE, there's a part of me that really does want to take a bit of a break from it. I don't want to kind of just leave this sitting around either. So I'm going to keep kind of pressing on, maybe kind of... I do need to figure out what I'm going to do with the medbay. Because this needs to be wired into the system first off. It needs to be somewhere else in here. Unfortunately, the only miner ship I had was vertical, not horizontal. And Bob here is in good shape, so do I want to? I kind of need to balance out things a little bit, and this side of the base needs some attention now. Because I've got this lovely setup here, this huge honking structure there, but there's nothing out the right side of the base yet. That kind of seems like a good spot where I could focus some building efforts here. Need more shield gens and no, God no. How many skeletons were Bob between the closet? Oh man. The thing about the number of Bobs is the simple fact of the matter is Bob is so damn cheaty that I'm tried not to put more than 3 on anything I was doing for a new fighter, and the reality is it's even got slightly less shield power than the old Thugboat. And even that was kind of intentional, because let's face it, the old Thugboat was very much an absolutely ridiculous tank for all the good it did me. I mean, it brought me home alive, but spent most of its time being rebuilt completely, and at that point, I'd rather honestly lose the fighter and move on to build a new design than necessarily keep the same thing going again and again and again. Not that I'm complaining about the Thug with that. That was definitely a nice thing about the Thug, is it hung in there for a lot of stuff. But at the same time, it'd just be nice to, once in a while, do something a little different. That ship that's in orbit, too, that I left back there with the trade surplus, that is also going to be getting ripped apart as well, because I think I'm going to just take my own hand at building a genuine combat ship. Something that's at least modded in, that I haven't done in PvP. Something slightly different, shall we say. Or maybe not, I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get to it, but it's going to be a little while before we're back in orbit, I think. The planet has all of the makings of a good survival place, so 'tis just a case of dealing with the locals. Kind of sketching out an idea for building here. Need to get a tunnel over here too, so I can run another Bob and storage into this thing too. Which I do have the tunnel that goes over into the reactor room here. The hideously green reactor room. Let's see, what did I do for a cap on you? Just that. Okay. So from this direction on out. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have a properly decent... Going to avoid the salt, but it would be kind of nice if there's an option in the game to be able to say, yes, I'd like to see the nav ball from the standpoint of my character, so I know that I am drilling straight through properly. Because I definitely need to cut a hole through here. You done doing your little dancing, jiggling party pieces there, Keen? I'd like to build a block. If you don't mind. See, now I'm way off. Wow. The only thing I got going for me right now is the grid is still aligned to the planet. I did not have that advantage on my underground city, on that that creative build. That particular thing was actually off the main grid, and that drove me nuts every single time I had to do a new building. Come on. It was... I mean, really, the blocks don't exist. That's why I'm kind of confused. The blocks don't exist as actual blocks. So we've been told. Because the whole idea is, well, they're not supposed to slow down the game in anything. But this is slowing me down. I have to wait for it to, the temporary debris to phase out of existence before I can actually do anything, which would indicate that this block is real to a certain extent. You know what I mean? It's confusing. Not trying to be salty about it, just confused. Realized I need to make sure I'm recording where I want to come up, which is probably about around here. Let's just do... There we go. That should give me a good idea if I'm on track or not. Oh, beautiful. I'm going to come out right where I wanted to. Look at that. There's the GPS waypoint there. Might even be able... Gotta be careful. I'm getting overconfident. When you get overconfident, that's when the tunnel starts to go bad. I mean, it's either this or I build the tube as I go, and I try to do that on the other side. It didn't work out all that well, so... Lazy Monkey, I've actually been playing RimWorld quite a bit lately, since the 1.0 came out. It's one of the rare games in my Steam library that I bought quite a while ago, actually, on Early Access, and just never installed it, and that's because it's one of those games that I've kind of been seeing go through quite a few changes, and a lot of them for the good, so I kind of actually wanted to give that one... Oh, right there. Perfect. Perfect. Aside from it managing to destroy the very block I was standing on, thank you, Drill. You know, I wanted to give that one a shot more or less on... I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. After everything that has happened with SC, I wanted to kind of say, okay, let me give this thing the benefit of the doubt. Let me actually play this thing once it's finished. And see where we go from there. So I've been kind of just watching and keeping a casual eye on playthroughs and whatnot, like Wasted's. And just getting a feel for where the game has been going. And been liking the direction, and started playing it, and I'm still very much on newbie mode here. You know, I'm playing Cassandra. I am playing it at not the peaceful level, but the next to as close to peaceful as you can get. So I'm not getting a massive challenge. The world is not burning down. Most of it's also because I did get into Dwarf Fortress for a while, and that one was a game that got very frustrating after not too long because it, they kind of went feature creep, a little too feature creep on it, and then just started adding stuff into the game that made no sense. But it's like, okay, well now you've got vampire dwarfs. I don't want vampire dwarfs. Why is this a thing? Why? Why is this even a thing? Why has it gotten to the point where you've got to go absolutely nuts pulling your hair out doing things? And then the other thing, I know you can say the same thing about RimWorld, but I can at least mod RimWorld. You can't really mod Dwarf Fortress all that much, I believe. Let's see. It's time to get this medbay up. So, because this is a medical bay, it should be, in my personal opinion, pure white. I don't know how this is going to work, though, from a appearance standpoint. And I need to fit a door, or not door. Your door is ajar. Your brain is offline. I'm going to borrow the basic wall here and use that actually as a floor here. Always fun when you get to reuse these blocks in a way that they were never really meant to be used for. And a flooring surface certainly applies. So that'll give me something to sit on. I might... There's something to be said for... Yeah, that's definitely not going to work. I can see into that thing from here.
Inventory full.
Thank you, game, but no. We need to put a converter on that. More accurately, I also need a bob out here. So what I'm probably going to do is just plop the bob out here. Because I think it's time this base had another bob, and I have to do it down at this level.
Inventory full.
Because I can't fit it any other way. Bob, can you do me a favor and pick those up for me? I am completely packed on inventory. Thank you, Bob. Thank you muchly. So you got a port on the bottom, so we can roll you. Like so. Empty out some of the crap in my inventory. And then, I'm going to put one of the few built-in cargo tubes I'm actually using here. Oh my goodness, I'm putting in a vanilla block. Yep, that's right, can't get out that way. Can't get that from here. Modular skeleton frame you can quick print out and then build off to replace destroyed previous version might work. The thing I don't like about, and this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, I suspect. The thing I don't like about blueprinted ships. I've tried to do this. I don't know if I ever made that blueprint actually... I get to see through the floor that way, that's not any better.
Inventory full.
Alright,
Inventory
fine.
full.
Conveyor block it is. I have tried to do like a modular ship design, and it's certainly doable. It's not that hard. And actually, you can even do it better to some extent with mods like Bob, because you can actually explicitly say, hey, I need to be able to redo, swap a module on the ship on the fly. You can do it. I don't know if I put the Omni blueprint out there, but that's what that whole concept was, is do something that you have one series of bobs set to be able to build that color, and another set that will explicitly grind that color. It's a great theory in practice, but the problem is Bob is not very good at rapid sort of builds, and the other thing is you get a very... You wind up with a chassis that doesn't really do the best of jobs. You get something that's a general all-around utilitarian player that you have to wind up putting more work into to make it work right and get it just right. I mean, like, for instance, a modular or base ship design is going to tend to have most of its propulsion and its power supply more than likely built into it. I mean, especially if you're doing, like, a combat ship, because that kind of thing, and, the controls and everything, they need to be at the core of the ship for safety. When you start talking about a modular design, the problem that you run into is now you're kind of having to potentially bolt on extra things to it. And again, that's not necessarily a problem. It just means that you're really kind of starting to complicate the build quite a bit. And you're not necessarily going to have the best build as a result. So it may work perfectly fine on paper in its base version, but now you add all this extra bolt-on equipment to it, and you may find that now you need to add more power, or you need additional thrusters because you're slow as molasses, or your gyros aren't strong enough to control it, so now you need to add more gyros, and you wind up getting into some really weird things as far as trying to support that sort of setup goes. Actually, going to... Out of interior plate, really? Hey, Bob, can you loan me some interior plates? You're wired up for this and you can't... You go into here. You go into here. Simple conveyor block. Nothing complex. You go to medbay. Why you no workies? Why is this game's system so incredibly wonky? Break another spot in my conveyor network game? Hope you didn't. I'm gonna keep that medbay there for now, because now I don't trust the setup here. Let's see what happens. Okay, no, it is wired up. It's just not letting me pass parts through it. It's doing that annoying bug. Well, because medbays aren't set up properly to begin with. That's what they really need to kind of potentially sit down and fix. Anyways, walls. So here's the tricky thing to using these walls is inevitably, and now you need a wall that's too thick, or it has to be 2 blocks thick to really support it properly. That's not exactly something that's always going to be an option, is it? Let's go ahead with our dark color, and I'm going to borrow that outside block there. There's a little bit of an accent. Let's see if I got that. So you're there. I tend to think of a modular ship in Sword of the Stars theme. Well, I mean, the modular design I tried to use is basically just saying, okay, I want the weapons, and just the weapons. That's all I'm going to care about right now, to be something that you could swap out on the fly, and yeah, it still didn't really kind of tickle my fancy. It's the reason why I didn't really go with that ship, because, yeah, you can build 1,000,001 modules, but for starters, you're going to tend to fight the ship the same way, and second, like I said, you've also then got the limitations that it puts on you, in a ways. The Omni was good, but it was never going to be best because of it. I mean, it's like, you know, flipping to the 170 part of my name here, if you want to talk about, say, the Galaxy-class starship, and the whole idea was we've got this massive space frame that we can do quite a lot with, and we've got the flexibility. We can make it work with the design that the mission parameters that you want. And the reality of it is okay, so you're taking this ship, which was really kind of intended more for deep space exploration, and you say you're going to send it back to a starbase to outfit it for specific mission parameter modules and whatnot. And the same thing kind of applies to what they proposed for the original Nova class. That was supposed to be, and what became the Katana class. And, the whole idea of, well, you're going to swap it out, you're going to swap this stuff out, swap it out. You've got to go back to a starbase to swap these modules out. If you're out in the middle of the field, that doesn't really work all that well. So in this case, yeah, I can have something that is completely modular, but then I need to have something back at base where I've got these modules more or less ready to go. And then that runs into Essie's other problem. With doing a modular design is... How much iron do I have left here? I just figured I'd better take stock of it real quick. No, I'm good. Plenty of that left. We're not out anytime soon. Essie's other problem is trying to get a ship to dock up with the module. It doesn't always work out all that great. I mean, you can, but it's... You get to a point where you basically wind up having to keep the module powered at all times. Because otherwise, docking it, you could bump it all over the place, it falls out of alignment, you just... Scores of things that can go wrong with it, basically. Thank you, game. I totally wanted to do that. Instead of just actually placing something where I would like to have it, period, the first time. Again, mind reading. Could it actually, the brain readers actually pick out the fact that, my brain might be slightly lagging with the game and that maybe it should delay that mouse input just a second longer? Okay, interior. Oh, ooh, this is looking... So many reflective lights that don't actually cast an actual light on the scene. Can you finish this up, I'd like to see this dark place. Ooh, pretty. Let's add, yeah, I guess the sliding door default works. It really needs to be a flush mount door at the outside world. And the reason why I built it this way with this corner piece, because now I can just do... Of course, now I'm screwed because the colors aren't matching up entirely. It's almost like Keen went through and changed colors on the blocks and didn't stop and think about what that would cause for color blending on some of their models. You know? Odd that. No Feral, no Feral, that's being salty. You do not need to be salty tonight. Kind of give it a look into that there if I can. It's not gonna work with that though. Thank you, game. I was trying to make a very rapid turn, not necessarily slam myself into the block I wanted to get out. I know I didn't want it built, but that is no reason why you had to body check me. Mr. Farrell is losing his words tonight. Hopefully not losing his mind either. Or they could put you in the game holodeck style, but without the holodeck. They've tried. I remember Wasted actually did a stream a long time ago where he actually, there was a program that will let you take a space engineer's blueprint and actually manipulate it with VR. And at the time, it certainly looked quite impressive, and I guess that particular program no longer is a thing anymore, that they either gave up development on it or something, or... And I remember the program itself was incredibly picky, too. It was not exactly a candidate for smoothest running award of the year, basically. It looked cool, but you couldn't really do anything with it as a result. Especially because it had some odd limitations to it, I think, too. I'm not married to the green color for the outside here, by the way. I'm just trying to get the form set up properly here. And just get some idea of what the overall theme of this building is going to look like. Or character, I can't think of the word to do it. I also am aware I need to get Bob set up on this too. So that way he can help out with the building locally. Steel plate, outrageous. Can I actually pull any? Nope. Not from that location. Should be able to pull them right out of Bob, though. Aside from the fact I made it so I can't get into that Bob from... See what you did there, Farrell. You decided to get cute and compact, and now look what it's doing. Now I've got to go somewhere else. There we go. Place these like so. And a little bit of a lofted ceiling component in here. Because if I'm going to build any sort of medical facility, something that has to go hand in hand with it. I just want to see how long it's going to take to actually build this thing with a Bob. Which also is code for I could regret this pretty quickly because I could be about to seriously tie up my production systems here. Yep, here like that, that. There we go. She's not much of a looker. We'll give you that. Let's get the Bob out here set up first, though. But at least it works for healing and when the game catches up my power. Build and repair group. Well, that's why I'm having problems, because he's not part of the group yet. We can do that. We can also dance if you want to. We can leave your friends behind. But if your friends don't dance, if they don't dance, then, well, they're no friends of mine. What advice can you give a complete newbie to space engineers? Oh, boy. Probably something along the lines of, well, congratulations for acquiring your Super Explodey Deluxe 4000. Your Super Deluxe Explodey 4000 is equipped to give you thousands of hours of countless entertainment with an occasional hour or two of complete oddity and oddball explosions. Realistically, the best way you can kind of get into it is there are the beginner missions. They are not 100% a perfect introduction to the game, but at least some of the very, very, very basics of it, like being able to move around, interacting with objects, building, like repairing objects, building objects, not necessarily so much with the toolbar or some of the specific settings, but it's not a bad idea to give it a run through, and you'll also get a little bit of experience with how some of the combat works in the game as well. So there is that. Don't use ignore. Hang on a second. Pick current build color. We want this to be... Where are you here? We do not want you picking up gravel or stone. The other, and at that point, once you've gone through those missions, start yourself off with kind of play around in creative mode, honestly, is the best advice I can give. When you're in creative mode, you don't have to worry about things like supplying your reactors with power. They'll power themselves basically. Same thing with batteries. You don't have to worry about things like ammunition. Go into creative and start kind of playing around it. Play around with making a small ship. Play around with making a big ship. Kind of use that as your way to learn some of the mechanics behind the game. And, at that point, once you kind of have a feel for it, even just consider bringing down some blueprints off the workshop. Just grab a few that you like, throw them in a world, paste them in, and just kind of see how it's put together and everything. That's going to give you a pretty good idea of what you would want to build if you're doing survival. If you're doing creative building, well, then you're already in the right direction. At that point, you just need to kind of play around actually more in a survival world so you can understand, okay, I can build this cool thing. How do I make it so that people can use this in a survival situation? If you're going the route of modded, honestly, I think the best thing you can still do is play the vanilla game for a while until you feel comfortable with it, and then start thinking about mods. Because really, the modding experience can change the game so much, and for a very good thing. I mean, let's be honest. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the modding community, and they have done everything to make the game meet anyone's possible wildest expectations, aside from actually working 100% of the time. But, we've got Torch for that too, technically. You had to realize I'm putting a helipad on this, right? It's a medical center. Of course I'm putting a helipad on it. Holy crap, is this thing... Can I even place this in survival mode? I don't know if I can. It's acting all manner of wonky when I just even have it in the air, let alone... Holy crap, look at this thing. It's like, I'm thinking a tiny little helipad, not like this big ridiculous thing. Holy shit. That's huge. Game. Holy crap, that mod. And I'm out of steel plate anyways. Okay, that's what I was getting, the outline only. I don't think I'm going to be putting that on top of the little med center here like I was originally thinking. That's a whole nother build on itself. And the problem is I can't really get a good idea of where to necessarily place it either, because of the way the world is handling this. I kind of have to go at it from an angle to trick it. One block shy. That's actually good, because then I can... But yeah, basically just play around with the game in creative. That's really kind of the way that's going to get you in there and get some ideas on what to build. Get a feel for the game. Oh, that's missing texture pink. I hope that's going to be somewhat more than missing texture pink soon enough. 2 bobs, and now a draw on the system that it is demanding a ridiculous amount of materials. I bet the build and repair system's loving this. Once you've kind of got a feel for vanilla, that's when you go down and you start looking at the mods that you want to run. And again, it's very much a case of start small and work your way up. Go with like 2 or 3 mods and just kind of feel out how that's going to work and everything. Especially because during this time, you're also talking about there's a definite impact to your computer. Look at that, 4,000 metal grids, 17,000 armor plates. That's gonna take a little while, even with the mildly boosted assemblers. You're working on that. What is the gravel doing back in? Game, why are you moving the gravel around? I don't need gravel. I really don't. Where are you getting the gravel from? You're not... And the other advice I can give you as a new player to Space Engineers is make sure that the autosave is left on and be prepared, because you will encounter situations which make absolutely no sense. You know, it is very much a bit of a steep learning curve. Not quite as not quite steep as in. Why did you drag? Why, Keen? I've got a ridiculous amount of gravel. I have 1 million gravel, and I am still pulling it out of places here. Where is all of this coming from? Oh, I know what did it. I know exactly what did it. I know who, what, when, where, why, and how this happened. If you want to know what the culprit was, you're looking right at it. I will bet that this ship was still loaded down with quite a bit of stone. Stone, which Bob, in his incredibly helpful self, said, "Aha! I shall pick this up from the place it has been thrown on the ground, for I am Bob, and I am helping." The closest Bob to the scene of the crime is this one, who is directly attached, directly outside of the refineries in there, who does not have a filter on him to not do anything with, let me guess. No, aha, you're good. Okay, you're innocent. You would not have picked it up. The only thing I can think of, someone in here has not had their option to not pick up gravel taken care of. Aha. These guys all exist outside of the filter system that is designed to prevent stone from getting into the system. Ergo, stone got into the system. A lot of stone got into the system, because apparently that little miner was carrying a ton of it. Yep. Okay. Yep. So, like I said, expect dull moments like this one. You know, it is what it is, and, you know, it can be a frustrating game, it can be a very rewarding game, and just kind of keep that in mind. And, you know, if you start to feel like you're getting bored, definitely go ahead and throw the mods in, but keep in mind, mods are experimental, scripting is experimental, many things are still experimental in the game. It sounds like they're working on making oxygen air tightness not quite so experimental, which is nice to hear, but that is still potentially a little while off at least. How are we doing here? Oh, we already got the base steel plates and half of the full-on production done. Nice. While we're doing that, let's see about lighting this area, because this is going to be interesting. How do I want to do that? Because you're a half block. Oh, did I really shoot myself in the foot on this one or what? And I don't have any construction components. Need an access port over there so I can actually pull stuff. Thank you for your contribution, assembler. Alright, more assemblers, and it's doing okay. I mean, remember, this is relaxed survival. This is not, I must have everything done right now. I'm more than content to leave the system on a slow automatic churn where it can just, scare the crap out of me by sending a nanite particle over my shoulder. I'm more content to let it just kind of sit here and take its sweet time. Because this is the kind of thing, okay, now I go out, do some mining or whatnot, and then by the time I get back, I'll be all set. It's no problem. It's nice and chill. Just kind of don't worry about everything that's going on, and everything will be good. Aside from the 1,000,001 corner lights that I now have to try to pick my way through, because I did not go through and turn these off last time. Oh, Farrell. You set? Yes, you're set. What about you? Combing the desert looking for corner lights here. Should be these three. Watch the room wash out behind me. And then wash out some more. And really wash out if I want to turn up the intensity. So this thing is now incredibly brightly lit compared to the outside. I mean, even without that, look at the light spilling through that door. Yeah, look at the light spilling out through the door, the light spilling out through the wall, the light probably spilling out through the roof. Nope, into the roof sections. Thank you, Keen. Worry about that in a moment. Yeah, that's one reason why I rarely do that kind of a setup on the lights, to be honest with you. Corner lights are not meant to be a point source light for the entire scene. But if we turn down the intensity, probably would turn down the fall off a bit. That's almost as intense without necessarily bleeding quite as badly here, and I can even disguise that to a certain point by just sticking one of these outside. Because it would make sense. There would be a light on the outside here. This one we can kind of use to cover up the existence of the other one. There we go. So now I've got a light source that actually... well, if it was done. What the heck? There we go. So now I've disguised that light leak with another block in there. Or another light on the outside. Just like I can, and probably should. Steel plate. You want everything in the world, don't you, game? I mean, realistically, it's not like I don't heal up pretty quickly anyways. I mean, I'm not playing with hideous hard mode settings on here. Start playing the blocks, get a feel how they all go together, how they look with their blocks. Yeah, and, well, and as a new player coming to it, you're going to learn quite a bit about blocks, especially looking at other people's designs. Like, things like, you know, okay, thruster damage is a thing that you have to worry about to some extent, so... various odds and sods of game information, and it's not like, I mean, there is a wiki, it's not 100% up to date, but there is at least something out there. So you're not going it completely without any idea. That's kind of... it's leaking the light in through that side. Okay. The game's got some weird funky ideas. Kind of thinking I can... I mean, these I'm not even going to adjust. I'm going to let those sit there as kind of almost like a reflective light of their own. But they put out just enough to deal with some of the light leakage like I've got around here. Like, for instance, that is being lit like it's practically daytime. Down here, it's nice and annoyingly bright. Thank you, game. Silly game. What have we got left? Oh, a bunch of grids. Oh, good God. Yep, that's going to be a while until I can really kind of finish building that and see what I'm going to get. I'm almost half convinced I'm going to have to grind this thing back down. Boy, that's going to fill up a cargo system pretty quickly if I worry about that. We were at one point talking about... oh, let's see, mining. We've got a drill miner that goes down. That needs to be rebuilt. We don't have anything that can actually fit down that hole just yet. So I got two options for that. First option would be just fix this thing back up and just use it to employ it to get a bigger hole. Or I just kind of use this as my pilot hole drill and go for something slightly larger or more upscale, as in going with the default keen drills, or more than likely. But first, let's get... no, I don't want the tiny 2-port. Actually, the tiny 2-port probably puts out enough to handle it. But no, I'm thinking the large. We're gonna need to jumpstart this thing as it is anyway, so probably one on the outside wouldn't hurt. We shall fix this thing. We shall make it work again, even though its entire system has been shot to crap and back. So many tubes missing. It's about 650 hours in and just started on the red ship with planets with a couple of mods, including Bob. Oh, yes. The reason, and really, when you're starting out, I actually recommend against using Bob, because Bob is going to help you learn a lot of things about how important some of your resources are, instead of it just being a case of grab everything and run. Which, frankly, isn't that bad of a way of tackling it either, but that's a whole nother discussion. I think I was doing solids on those, and then pass through, or corners here with pass-throughs in that spot. There's obviously quite a bit of this thing missing right now, so... like an idiot, I don't believe I actually blueprinted it anyways, so... okay, not 100% the same, but close enough. So this design I'm kind of seeing as my pilot hole drill. That's why I'm letting it do a little bit of resource work to put it back in place. Once I've got the setup here going, though, let's... no, bad idea, Farrell. Not put the reactor close to the edge. That is just madness waiting to happen. Going to have some competing priorities here, I suspect. Oh, I do have superconductor conduits. Wasn't expecting that. Cool. Didn't even realize I had those in any sufficient quantities. Where did I get some of those? Bet they were off that down delivery ship. Yeah, 641 left. That's not too bad then. Can make that. I'm short on reactor components. I can deal with that on the manual side for you, game. Help you out just a little bit. But you know, I've got plenty of gravel. Gravel for days, weeks, months, years. Okay, no, I take it back. I am going to be burning up quite a bit of that gravel, probably on concrete at some point. At the very least, the runway can have a concrete base to it. Here's the big problem. I was sitting there saying, yeah, I can go off mining and take care of all that stuff with, while waiting for that thing in the distance to build. And then Mr. Farrell did not stop and think about how the fact he's got all of the base bobs tied up. Or how he's only got one assembler working for that. So that this is probably going to take a little while to finish. At the pace it's going. Especially construction components. I mean, even this thing's bob is not able to help out much. At all. We got construction components, none. Yep. And somehow you've burned through. Okay. So I need more reactor components than I thought. A couple extra should do, and then ungodly amount of that. Also made it so I can't exactly fall off this thing safely. Might be able to get off the wheel there. There we go. Wheel bounce dismounts for the win. Alright, are you... No, you're needing and you're needing. Okay, there we go. Uranium. Game, I need lots of it. Well, not a lot, but enough to at least jumpstart the onboard system. So that I can at least get a little bit of extra uranium in here at some point. Okay. Main power is restored. Should be able to now get into... Nope, I can't. What broke? Oh, you're not done yet. That's why. There we go. Alright. Now I can feed into the primary onboard system. Alright, you've got enough power to actually get up off the ground now. I need to actually give you some storage. There's another area your predecessor was sorely lacking. Let's see if I can get these. And that's another thing. Also a bit of a thing for new player. Probably want to stay away from necessarily all of the high-end settings like the fast refinery and whatnot. Just to kind of start with. You'll turn them up in a little bit with advanced tools, but when you're building, it can be very tricky to build with a fast grind speed and an elite welder. Just a you know, thing to note. All right, we've got that. We're gonna stick a large cargo container out this time. Do I really need? The other thing I'd like to actually see Keen do is make the cargo containers are a little weird as far as getting them set up properly. No? Okay, yeah, I am on the right side there. So that's going to set me up with my forward and backwards access, so I can very easily... Looking for something I can carry a bit more without having to resort to the, something that was ridiculously tall, honestly. Because that was that design's Achilles heel, pretty much. It was hideously, comically oversized, beyond where it needed to be. The other thing I want to do is also switch out to the mech cockpit. This is going to look a little weird on here, but it'll give me a, well, to give you an idea of just how weird this is going to look. Let's just say that you don't build this thing unless you've surrounded the cockpit in armor. For very good reasons, as it turns out. The Space Engineers model doesn't exactly fit all that well in here. It really does need to be updated so the cockpit is a full proper set of 3 blocks wide, really. But it just looks so darn cool. It's okay, we can work with this. This will give it a bit of a shark fin to it. What do we got? Yep. Out of armor. Probably not a drop to be found. No, there's actually some sitting around still. Probably because that's still grinding away on Metal Gears, potentially. And just to keep a little bit of survival in mind, air vent in the back. Okay, this should give me a modest amount of clearance view. I certainly can see down to the connector a lot better on this thing. Before I take that thing off, systems check. I need to wire up the cargo container. Need some more gyros, particularly around the back, because I had 2 gyros on here managing it before. So you are half on that side. It's a baby romper. Yeah, I could see that. No, if anything, what I'm reminded of is the it's a clan battle mech. I can't remember the weight class of it. The Nobori Nid, or a sign bearer, basically. And it was a mech that had whatchamacallit, had Asiatic, I'm trying to think of the word and I can't think of it all of a sudden. Had a bit of Asian theming behind it, the whole design and everything. Glad I didn't try to take this off because I've got no thrust in this direction right now. But basically a banner bearer, essentially. Anything I would love to do would be to use these Atmo thrusters, but these are completely borked for some reason. Because they are effectively the same thing as the modular thrusters, but they're the just purely Atmo versions of them, and they don't work very well. I'm not exactly sure what happened with the mod, but at some point it just must have stopped working. Do I want to fit engines on you? Got 3 on the right, or yeah, 2 on the right, I mean. That gives me that direction. Did I lose all? Yeah, I lost a good chunk of stuff on the bottom here, too. It's gonna take a while for this thing to rebuild itself like that. Especially because I gotta get in here with armor blocks, and it would be a lot easier to do that if it was up in the air. Funny that I can't get it up in the air right now. Off. I see where you're going. I know exactly what you're doing, and you are not going to do that. I am not going to lose you right now. Need these engines so I can actually make note of what I still have left. Man, this thing took a beating. Need a lot of wiggle animation. Yeah. No, it's definitely the Naborian. I know the name itself is definitely that. I just can't remember what the clan name was for it. But it is definitely a cool looking mech. It was one of the first ones I actually got a mini for, actually. Signal, where are you? Up on top of the hill. You're not quite in travel form at this point. I really don't want to put a thruster on the edge like that, but I might have to because of the redesign. Unless I can figure out some way to make this work. Because it's been about 15 minutes, I would like to actually go collect that unknown signal and see just what it is. Oh god, no, a conveyor block. The horrors. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. Oh, actually, I guess I put one there, so I might as well put the one on the opposite side to match it. Don't want to put a thing there, but I did. So we'll just mirror that on the other side, and that will be the opposite direction for now. Stopping and starting this design is going to be a bit of a... shall we say bitch, I suppose? Just kind of flip you like so. So I've got 2s. 2 forwards, 2 back, 2 forwards. And I set that one up on top. 2 the opposite direction, so that and that. Along with some additional thrust in these directions to help out. Slightly less bulkier craft, slightly more powerful craft. 1 gyro, but not the other. That's what I'm missing. And some drills. Gyro on the deck. And that should be enough to make this plausible. I think I'm not exactly a fan of this cockpit, as it does have a weird highlight area, but, you know. What can you do? Groups. Let's throw minor ammo on and off. Regroup. Save it. Okay. About 6 hours of 5, 3. Varying degrees of readiness on that. That's a little concerning. But she is holding her own. Surviving thrusters are all there and working like a champ. Let's get the last of... trying to finish out the actual pattern here that I had. And it is a bit challenging to remember where everything goes. And I suspect it's actually finished up with the helipad over there, because things have gotten rather quiet. Okay, so pattern is there, and I just need the drills. Where are you, azimuth drills? I thought you'd be on that list, but you're not. Because you used the vanilla icon just to confuse me. Okay, blue and blue. Just need the safety rail, so to speak. I did not want to do that. Thank you, Keen. Making a absolutely. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna get salty. Mr. Salty Farrell needs to take a little bit of a salty vacation. Because, like it or not, Mr. Salty Farrell still enjoys the game despite what he's saying. All things considered, there are far worse things I could be doing with my time. Set the build color, so I've got the purple again. There we go. Alright. At least I don't have that many custom colors. If I'd done that on my other world, I would be tearing my hair out right about now. Okay, back, forth, up, down, left, right. Not up, down, no go. Up, down, funk need to be added to you. Up, down, funk need to be added to you. Because when this design just gets too high, then it's gonna not fly right. And that is as close as I'm going to try to get to freestyling Bruno Mars, in the hopes that I'm not going to get killed by the Bruno Mars fans. There we go. Another reactor. Do I want to do another reactor? Probably not. You've got enough there, but you are having power concerns. Hey, Azimuth. How about we get you to provide 2 backup batteries for me? This is probably the worst spot to put these things, because they're just waiting to be smashed into a connector, but on the other hand, they're going to work well as armor. And I've got the extra thrust to pull this off. It's actually... just feel a lot safer knowing I've got that in play. Yeah, now she's actually writing that out nicely. Atmos fixed with the last ones I put on. There we go. She's not quite the same as she was before, but she's back in one piece, and I'm also thinking the salt monster from Star Trek, the original series here, actually. I don't know. That's... oh, yep, the Huntsman. Yep, you are absolutely right. That was the Huntsman 60-tonner. Now that you said that, that reminded me. Which makes no sense because, honestly, Noborian is far more suited to what the mech looks like. The Combine actually got that name right. I don't know why the clans got Huntsman out of that. It's got a big Asian-styled, you know, banner on the back of the thing. Alright, so, again, technically this design also has Pam, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to give it immediate flight. And immediately crash because something's wrong with... why are you... it's glitched into the voxels. What? See, everything was going right there, but then all of a sudden it developed this... What? What are you doing? You're completely... Didn't even blueprint it. And here's the best part. What's left on this thing? This thing has phased through the planet. That's the best part. Because the only way those thrusters would be firing with only that half of the ship showing is if there's still something there. Grabbing the spectator camera because I need to see this. Let's see, where are you? Over there. There it is. Uh-huh. 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 Yeah, phased right through the voxels, created its own tiny little pocket dimension, and left itself stuck, still connected everywhere. The design had 2 working gyroscopes on it, more than enough thrust to provide the forward momentum. That's why I tipped forward. That was intentional. And, yeah. Let me see if Mr. Farrell indeed has... I don't think I gave myself the usual setup on the bark, because there's only one possible thing that you can do to something like this. And stay, and... Yep. So that's the final bit of advice for tonight that I have for you guys, if you're just starting out in the game, it is early access. You will most definitely encounter strange and unusual bugs that make absolutely no sense. This is solid voxel. You can build a large grid into voxels. You cannot build a small grid into voxels. That does not work. But very clearly that is indeed the case here. So, on that note, and because I'm sure this is not going to work, because it's going to start glitching out, even though, and it's actually probably going to take off like a unguided missile at this point. Yeah, I'm now completely wedged in here. Okay, yeah, I'm going to, I can't even get the thing up here to grind this down with Bob if I want to, honestly, is the problem. Gonna be calling it there, guys, and I'll be back with some more Space Engineers on Friday with the PvP event. And, of course, the other thing that also happens on Saturdays is good old Uncooperative Survival. We will have that happening as normal, I believe. Let me take care of this properly so I can get rid of Mr. Annoying Thing here, and I need to also switch in and take care of this outcropping so I can actually get down on a level where I can get a good shot from. So Uncooperative Survival on Saturdays, of course, with Space, Textfire, hopefully a Macor, and Yeah, I'm pretty much done for the night at that point. Catch you next time. Actually, on I know it's next. I completely forgot about it. Wednesday I am. Am I doing? Yeah, I think I'm doing that this week. I don't know. I've got to go back and look at the stream schedule because I think it got screwed up on Twitch. Wednesday, I'm probably going to be doing Forza Horizon 4 over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Feral1701. If you want to watch me have amusing times in a game that has just as questionable, dodgy physics at times as Space Engineers, join me over there on Wednesday at the same time this stream normally starts. The week after this Wednesday, there's actually going to be an early recording on Sunday because I am actually going to be at a concert on the Wednesday following this Wednesday and will not be around to do my usual stream then. So anyways, guys, I will catch you guys later, and until then, screw you, Keen. Thanks.